Well, and I'm seeing you, Miha. I'm seeing you in group with me and Tesseract. But I actually don't see your character in game. Yeah. To be expected. Oh yeah, you see the no at the base computer. I think's right out front. No, fell right through the. Yeah, but the BC itself is not there. Yeah, see, that happens occasionally. If the base isn't fully rendered in as well, the BC won't be rendered in, but you'll see the icon for it still. Yeah, same with me. I'm missing chunks of the floor. Yeah. It is. Yep. This is just. Yep. 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 Well, and I'm still not seeing Shin's base at all either. Okay, let me try and load in. All right, let me try and load in on Slacks and then see if you can load in on us there, Miha. Try and shuffle things around in multiplayer. Poof. Actually, I'm loading in on you now, Slacks. I'm loading in on you, Slacks. Real quick, gonna say hi to everybody over on my side in YouTube. Everybody over in my chat, hello. I've got VR Wonders link pinned to the top. Make sure to jump over there, say hi, hit the like, throw a sub, and see what he's seeing in VR. Because, yeah, like Shock said, the cockpit animation in the interceptors in VR is awesome. No problem. Usually, yeah, that's best. Hmm. I think it might have loaded in pretty close to all the way there for you, Miha. It sounds like it. Yep. What the hell is that? Yeah, that sounds about right. No, looks like you're missing floors. Right there in front of you. Yeah, I think. Get in there, man. Yeah. All right. No, this is teabag. Yep. Yeah. I've got it in the description to the stream today, Leonaris. Disney World Tours lead correspondent, Leonaris. Oh yeah, you definitely need to do that, Mihawk, because there's more of this coming. So yeah. And then if we go to Damalvina's. Yeah. Yeah. It's- Nice, yeah. Excellent. Yeah. Yeah, she's got a fantastic imagination. Her DWT build was gnarly. Well, I appreciate you inviting me to come co-stream with you today, man. This is fun. I've been very excited to see you see this because it's kind of like seeing it again for myself for the first time. Seeing somebody else, seeing it through somebody else's eyes. And so, yeah, this is probably these two museums are probably some of my absolute favorite Distant World Tours builds. Period. I mean, this was not. No, yeah, yeah. These have been around from before. Yeah, yeah. That is true. Yeah, they do phenomenal work. Yo, Jay's the one who should. Yeah. Yeah. Mm, yeah. Forever. Yeah. 100%. Oh yeah. Yeah, that thing's crazy. Yeah. Yeah. That was a fantastic touch too, by the way. That was really good. Just a little bit of extra info. Yeah, it's not just limited to master builders by any means. Yeah. 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 Yep.
Leave, we have work tomorrow, we have whatever shit we need to do, correct? I try to put this part on drugs and enjoy my life. So when I'm in VR, I completely immerse, and that's actually why a lot of people don't when you ask different people about how do you feel about playing in VR, you in the same game you'll get different responses because it's all about how you manage your left portion of your brain, and I really manage this one in a very good way. So I completely immerse myself in virtual reality, and I enjoy it like to the core, correct? So when I was just I was doing I was standing here a few minutes ago, I was enjoying this flame, this like the photo one, and I have my mechanical arms. I just moved here and then I found this thing pointing at me. For a moment, this was a full truck pointing at me. It was massive one. So yeah, it freaked me for a while. So yeah, okay, back to you, Tess.
Well, I have to point out, we were laughing earlier before the stream started. When we see Mihal walking around, his arms are fully articulated, and it is fascinating to watch.
Because
Like he's
none
got
of the
hand
other
gestures,
characters do it. No.
and the arms are moving around. It's like you're just like, can I have that? Can I have that? So okay, the history of that's the history, right? That's the framing of where where the distant worlds came from. Originally, now that architecture and that experience was kind of in my head. Now we come up to the end of last year, and I'm going to try to keep this from being too uncomfortable for everybody. Unification Day and the ultimate dumpster fire that turned into through no fault of anybody on this stream. That brought up a lot of challenges. There were a lot of, I'm just going to put it out there, there were some community-based challenges that really did not need to happen, and there was a severe technical challenge. And
logistically, it was difficult.
yeah, plus the environment of the game just punishes you for congregating in one spot,
Yeah.
especially if you've got builds.
Yeah,
But
and we all want to, but we can't.
Yeah.
Exactly.
On small scale, it's fine, but on large scale, like Unification Day, it was very problematic, very fast. Sorry, go ahead, Tess.
Well, no, you're absolutely right. It piled up very quickly, and there were a lot of like issues in organizing events now in any form of community is really difficult. And the non-politically correct way that I used to describe it was herding epileptic cats through a yarn factory during an earthquake. That's pretty much that's the description. But be that as it may, so I had been kind of out on my own. I'm going to be subjective from this because I came into it's like a point of entry game. I came into it kind of late. I had been out on my own, just building. I at my point in the sort of builder trajectory was I had just started looking at videos around glitch building, and I was ultimately confused with every single streamer had a slightly different way of describing the same action, and that's really confusing. So I was struggling through that. I'd landed on one that taught me how to do a circle, and I was like, yeah, I'm a glitch builder, look at me go. And then out of nowhere, somebody reached out to me. I posted an old picture on Reddit, and somebody reached out to me. It was Heavensmerk, and he was working with JSlax on some stuff. JSlax was teaching Heavensmerk to do like these fractal glitch builds, and Heavensmerk reached out, and he was like, yeah, you gotta come join us. I'm like, oh, okay. So I got pulled into the group through that connection. Still, again, imposter syndrome. Black gives me non-stop crap about this. I knew one trick, literally one trick. Every single build I had was based on just a simple wire glitch. That's it.
Yeah.
And to this
We
day,
all know how simple the wire glitch is, and
Yeah.
how much of a linchpin it is in glitch building. Like,
Seriously.
in all honesty, without wires, we'd be pretty rudimentary in our builds.
you know, the funny thing is, I'm going to go off on a tangent for like 10 seconds. There's a book, Another Fine Myth by Robert Asprin, where the core tenet is this one guy. He's an apprentice magician. He learns one trick, and through a series of happenstances, ends up becoming the most famous wizard in the universe. But he still only knows how to do like one really simple thing. But it's the context that he used it in and the perception of everybody else that elevated him. And that's kind of the underpin of that entire novel. Is it's just ridiculous. The entire scenario is ridiculous. Like, I know how to flip a light switch. Oh, you are now God. Okay. That's basically my experience in glitch building. So anyway, we get up to, that was right around.
But let me say that, you know, if you know one trick and you are so good at it and you explain it or show it to different people, sometimes this is enough, correct? You know, mastering one thing to a professional level, usually for a lot of people is enough, especially if you show this trick to different people, and then this can be the seeds that you start, adding different smaller tricks around it to give it different flavors, right? So it's not, it's still very interesting concept, to be honest.
It is, and that's another one of the underpinnings for the tour is, everybody can do this. We all say that, right? We all say that. Well, everybody can do this. It's actually kind of but what people see, and this is again based on my subjective experience, is coming into it a little bit later, because I've been playing since day one, but not really hardcore, and I'd really gotten into building until, like, it hasn't even been a year for me, really. The distance between what I see on YouTube and what I see in front of me in the game is, 30,000 feet, right? It's a 30,000 foot cliff. You're starting like, okay, I have these pieces, and then I see something from Crisscross or Peeblebum or things that Enra does, or, I'm looking at that going, how the actual F-bomb? Like, there's just no understanding of the trajectory that gets me from where I'm at to that. And that's the part of getting to the area that you guys are all in, which is like the mastering of this craft, that I think we forget is that the initial learning curve is actually quite difficult for people to get over. It's we're at the other side of that. We look back and we're like, oh yeah, that actually is really simple. It's just this. But the concept, the context of how it's done and what's possible is an unbreachable gulf for people on the other side. It's like the moment before you learn to ride a bike and the moment after. Something changed. Nobody can describe it, but we've all felt that, assuming you can ride a bike. But if you go to try to teach somebody how to ride a bike, there's really no language to express it. It's intrinsically unique. So that became part of the core tenet of the tour, was the answering that question is how do we breach that gulf through experience rather than through, say, learning materials, right? How do we show you how to get there without being there to show you? So that kind of led us to a bit of a structure, but I'll jump back to I gave you guys the history of where Distant Worlds came from. Now we get into the end of last year, and Enra had reached out. If I get this wrong, you guys jump in and correct me, because I was only just being introduced to you guys, so my memory may be a little gapped. Enra had reached out to Slacks and Merc because they were looking for people to build for Unification Day. I think, and having experienced this myself, getting people organized around a specific time frame to build can be very tricky. People have real lives, and this is just a game, and building is complicated and requires investment, et cetera, et cetera. So having to staff an event with builders can be a little dramatic. So Slacks and Merc got pulled into it, and I was tangentially related to them, so I was like, oh, well, again, imposter syndrome. It's like, I know the one trick. I don't think I'm good enough, but sure, I'll
we
go
thought
for
it was cool. So
it was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
I
fun.
mean,
So we go, we build, and chaos ensues. I won't get into it. Everybody was there, knows what it was. But what struck me at the time was this is a lot of different variables in the environment, and if we accept them as axiomatically true variables, they're not just. It's not just this one thing. It's not just this one thing. But in all cases, these will occur. Well, I work in real life as a kind of a systems designer, a service designer. So it falls into my sweet spot to sort of understand the nature of the problem, develop a hypothetical framework, and then build a solution set and test that solution. Right. So that's where I come from. So we
Sure,
were
let me-
talking.
let
What's
me
that?
English it down for you. So basically what we had is we had a community group happening where a whole bunch of people wanted to populate one planet with a whole bunch of elaborate builds. And when we got to the point where we were about 20 builds on one planet, we started running into all kinds of rendering issues, and bases would disappear off the HUD. So one of the problems that we were trying to solve in this is how do we have something that has a community feel to it that completely mitigates that problem that we have with the confines of the game's engine. So we started like, well, what if we put one builder on one planet, let them do a couple builds there? That's problematic because the last base that you upload is the last base that any other non-player will see, or any other player will see. So then we're like, well, what if we put one base by one player in one system, or have them populate the entire system? How would that work? And anybody who's taken the tour will know that bases seem to render really good, with exception of typical No Man's Sky stuff, draw distance being an issue, base complexity, platform choice, internet connection, etc., etc., etc.
Well, yeah.
I
So
mean-
it comes down to that, right? We started trying to figure out. Well, looking at the problem. Most of the problem that we were facing comes from the rendering issues in multiplayer. The planet has a limit. The number of bases that can be visualized has a limit. It turns out, and I may be wrong in this, but it looks very much like the bases that are rendered are last in, first out. So if 30 people build a base, the last 10 are the only one you're ever going to see.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting design choice. But so like I was saying, these are problems that we just include as an environment. Say, okay, well, this is the environment. There's nothing we can do about it. We all complain about it, but there's really nothing we can do about it. It's gravity. Okay, well, to Slax's point, we started saying, well, everybody wants to build. We want a community, but the game isn't preventing us from doing it. But the more velocity and proximity we have, the worse it gets. So more builds in a small place equals world collapse. So we started talking about that all through November. I think we were really kind of talking through that. It's like, well, these are the problems. How would we solve it? And then I mentioned to them this structure that Distant Worlds had in Elite Dangerous. Now, they don't have a rendering problem, but the structure that they put into place was specifically to address fatigue. When you can see the entire journey ahead of time, it's daunting and you're less likely to travel, but if you see smaller segments that are achievable, you're more likely to engage. Also, by not surfacing the entire itinerary, we sort of not inadvertently, but it has this effect. It dampens griefing, like race ahead griefing. In Elite Dangerous, race ahead griefing means if I know where you're going to pop out of hyperspace, I'm going to sit there with a really big railgun and blast you the minute you pop out, because explorers don't have a lot of shields. So that happened. Now we port that into No Man's Sky and we make adaptations. It's like we've got some griefing happening. A lot of it is because people are desperate for attention for whatever reason. So letting them know where everything's going to be at the very end is probably not the best idea. But also, staging it gives us that kind of incremental engagement, and it gives, to be honest, from a selfish standpoint, it gives us the ability to not have to design the entire tour all the way up front. We can do it in stages. So what you guys saw was stage releases, full itinerary. What you didn't see was the absolute chaos in the background, where we were 3 hours before a stage was meant to be launching, only had 3 builders in that stage because we couldn't get anybody to commit, and it was just an absolute free for all. So, and that was pretty much
get to see
non-
the chaos, guys. I hope you enjoy the end project from it. Also, moving forward for next year, can you guys have your builds to us by December? Pretty please.
Well,
I enjoy
gonna-
sleeping.
I was going
Like
to put
at
that
some
out
point
there.
in the week.
And I'll make a mention of it in our Discord. Is 2024 Grand Tour? We want the builds done by the end of this year, so we have January and February to stage everything. But we'll put all that in the Discord. But just it's coming. You know what it is.
Yeah.
So prepare.
Yeah, I have put in the description the link to the Distant World Tour website and also the Discord server. Guys,
Okay,
if you didn't join the Discord server, please join it. There a lot of helpful information. I just want to mention that I think I've been in this museum now for around maybe 15 minutes, and finally, pretty much 99%, except the leg of this robot, have loaded. Correct? So
Yeah.
unfortunately, we don't have T-Bags with us here, and I really just want to give credit to these guys. The amount of creativity and the sheer scale of this is massive. I had to go out and take a breeze because this is just a huge amount of stuff. I mean, there is a lot of questions. I wish T-Bags was here because I don't know how he done many of these things. Some things are just crazy because if you take a look, for example, to this airplane.
Yeah.
Yeah, this
Like,
Yes,
airplane
yes.
here.
Welcome to the club, man. We
This
know
is
how to get
pandering
out
to
this
one
stuff.
of T-Bag's strong suits. Like, he's incredibly good at doing detailed Mac.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
so,
yeah. You see,
like,
this is a cockpit here.
This is
No
a
one
true
can actually see
master's
what's
work.
inside the cockpit easily, but he even thought about how you are gonna drive your airplane, correct? And you have the wings, you have everything. I like airplanes in general. That's one of the reasons I actually play in VR. But yeah, this is crazy. So I think we have pretty much seen. I have been pretty much in everything here, unless we have questions, Kim or requests from anyone or Max or anyone in the chat. Maybe we can start moving to the next space to start to get it loaded while you guys are
That sounds
continuing the
good.
story.
Yeah,
And
because the next one
Yeah.
is a lot crazier.
okay,
It's more spread out too.
Yeah.
okay. So I just want to mention that this planet have a very cool color shift, and I like this robotics hand. They are very unique in VR compared to the normal ones. It give me mechanical feeling, a little bit more different to look at all the time. You have been streaming. Do you have any questions from anyone in your chat? That you want to take to the folks here, or Kim on Max, you guys, any questions we want to ask the team before we leave this museum? Any comments?
No, I think we're good. Everybody in my chat's just been thoroughly enjoying seeing all the vehicles and stuff again. Most of them were in chat when I toured this a few months ago, but you see new things every time you come here. And yeah, just T-Bag's detail work is world class. It is.
Yeah,
So-
I'd recommend a visit to bases like this just periodically, because it helps for me. Now, mind you, this is again just subjective to me. It helps to see what is possible, right? To free up your mind a little bit, because we struggle with. Well, I'll give you an example. T-Bags looks at parts very differently. So does ER Burrows. Everybody everybody on the tour, they all have Max, Enra, Vortex. They all look at parts very differently, and they'll see something with the parts and it's how they see that's important, not like literally what they built. It's how they're looking at it, and that's what we were hoping to convey through the tour. Is we all have a fixed number of parts. And there's a fixed number of ways to glitch them together, but yet you put in a certain perspective and you can get an unbelievably imaginative build. And that's kind of what we're trying to convey, is within this library and this capacity, there's a nearly infinite outcome available to you. You just have to know how to look at it. So that's kind of the thing. I was gonna wrap up
the
the
whole
description.
thing finally loaded for me. Sorry,
right,
sorry
right.
to interrupt. I finally see his whole build here, and one last comment I want to mention before I leave here is that, and I really feel bad I didn't figure this before. So as I said, Enra gave me this ship, this cool interceptor ship, because in my show save, I only had time to just use the ship from the previous expedition. I didn't have an interceptor ship, and there was a rumor, correct, that the cockpit MVR is different for the interceptor ship, and I can confirm that this is correct. If you guys watch my early streams, and I can look to my different main save here, the cockpit is different. It's completely different. I mean, there is a lot of color shifting here. That's why it looks different. But because the actual shape and how the whole different parts of the interceptor ships are different, the organizing of the screens that I see them in front of me here are different, and even the small the glass, it's shaped based on the body. So this is a great news for the VR players, because we have been playing for 4 years with pretty much only 5 or 6 cockpits, but even how they organized the wiring here, this is great, guys. This is great. So we need all of the VR players. Please thank Enra for giving me this ship, and I'm gonna start hunting them more seriously now. I like this one so far. Thank you, man.
Yeah, no worries. Glad to help.
We'll just browse through our Discord.
Yeah.
We got hundreds.
Yeah,
hundreds.
but
Jeez.
guys,
Gotta be
correct.
half a
I'm
grand
gonna
in there
start
by
doing
now.
this.
Easily.
The point here is that there's just a massive amount of great content creators who how do you say, post links, and a lot of ship hunters. I'm gonna start, for my own pleasure, try to get a new one every stream just to see how it look like. I just been so lazy, busy with the expedition and a lot of other stuff. Kim, anyone in the chat, in our, in the No Man's Control chat, have any questions, comments before we leave the system?
No,
Are you
I
gonna
think
go
we're
to
all
the
just
other-
listening, really.
Yeah, you don't
Dashboard
even need to leave
stop
the others. Sorry, you don't even need to leave the other system. I set up a navigation marker. We're at the other base now. So if you fly
Is
up,
it the same system?
Same
yeah, it's on
system,
the
yeah.
same planet.
Same
Yeah,
planet.
it's on the same planet.
Oh,
Yeah.
So it's like
the
2
one,
minutes away.
Convenience detected.
the one
Ah.
teleporter that's in between the two doors to Teabag's museum was put there by Peter Long, who's an incredible blender builder. If it would power, you would be able to take the SRT right over to Banjo's build.
Didn't he write the program for the plugin? Like, didn't he?
Yeah, the guy
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
absolutely brilliant.
He's like
Shout
the
out to
guy.
Peterland.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of his builds on the tour is an actual circuit board.
Yeah.
Like a,
Yeah.
it's crazy.
It's
The
awesome.
level of
The
detail.
first house I saw he
diodes,
did,
light.
he posted one. It was like 20. It was like early. It was like 2016, 27. Like it just is whatever the first build parts, and it just was stunning. I was just like, wow.
So
They're just
that
cranking
touches
them out.
that touches on a really interesting subject, right? When I first came into the build community, one thing that struck me was this flat out Cold War and sometimes full on border skirmish between Blender and glitch builders.
Correct.
One of the
Yeah.
first
Never
things
end.
I saw, I know, right? Enra was interviewing Miss Fantasy and her gang on a build
from
that they had
Creative
done.
Juices, yes.
Yes, exactly. And she was mentioning that she had a workflow that it started in a Blender environment to build some infrastructure that she wasn't really good at in game, and then she would bring it in game and basically finish it in game. And I've talked to Enra subsequently, and he said that, and I don't know if he wanted me to surface this, but there was
No,
a
it's
lot of
fine,
heat
yeah.
on that video, more heat than any other thing he's ever done, and I've seen it. So when we were discussing, when Slacks and Merc and I were talking about this in December of last year, one of the things I wanted to bake into the tour was, to frame this correctly, I would say the tour is a question. It really is just a question. How might we do this better? How might we create a sense of community in a game that really doesn't seem to want us to? Like if you look at all of our communities are external to the game. Like the
Holy
game
shit.
just yeah. So
What
there you
is
go.
this? I have
Well-
seen. Yeah, I have seen this in flat screen. I came with with NRAP before,
Mhm.
but seeing this thing coming out of the water.
Oh, you're gonna love Daz and
Yeah.
Chris's castle because if
Yeah,
this is
yeah.
that-
This
yeah.
is massive.
There's-
This is
there's
massive.
so much
Sorry.
there's so much on the tour that's gonna blow your mind. You're just gonna be like, yeah.
Sorry.
But so-
go ahead. Go
so-
ahead.
but
Sorry,
yeah,
I
to
couldn't
finish-
hold myself.
Just to finish that thought, right? It was
Yeah.
the tour is a question of how might we do this given all of these things that run up against us, right? How might we build a community in a place in a system that really doesn't like us to gather? How might we really celebrate builders when we build next to each other, our builds disappear? And I started throwing things into that mix because I'm probably pushing this one a little too far on Slax's part, but he's in the glitch community and was more on the side of Blender building isn't glitch building. And over the course of months, we had that conversation a lot. And what it really boils down to is there's an animosity from glitch builders towards people that are using Blender and claiming it's glitched. Now, I think that's probably a very small percentage of the Blender community, probably tiny, but it's happening.
Well, see,
I'm gonna stop you real quick, Tess. I gotta stop you guys.
Some people
Miha,
know the
you were
Yeah.
just in the mouth of that alligator. There is an SRT in that skull. I don't know if you noticed that.
Yeah,
That-
yeah. Is this the reporter? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Just
Like,
pointing that out.
everybody
Pointing that out. You
everybody
might
saw
want to take it
Mandalorian
later.
And Grogu on the expedition.
Everybody's seen that build. It is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Yes.
I know you've seen it. Everyone's seen it. It's incredible. But
Yes.
that's the problem is the people who just start playing the game. That's where most of the teeth come out is when, let's say I put out a build. Then someone looks at it and goes, what in fuck? Like, that must be Blender. Or they look at your build. Or they look at Ender's. Or it just, et cetera, et cetera. And then they see a Blender build and they're like, I can do that. Tell me how to do that. And then I have to sit them down like a 5-year-old and explain to them that it's never going to happen unless you buy a PC. And that's like, so over time, it sort of is like a built up, like, confusion clearing. Because I love seeing the builds. Like, they look incredible. Like, everyone's seen, the giant sniper on the cliff that one person did, or the Jedi warrior. Just like, it just
Jedi
makes
warrior
it
is amazing.
cool. Like, it's,
Jedi Warrior music.
as a builder who doesn't use Blender, like I've
Well-
been on Xbox for 5 years, like it's fine. Like I love seeing it, but yes, it does raise hairs on a lot of necks, right?
So
The
I'll give you the
SRT's not
example.
powered for you, man. I see it on stream now. So hopefully
powered.
power will come in shortly. Just remember
Yeah,
that's
this
there.
is not powered for me.
Yeah, remember that's there if power shows up. Because that's a fun SRT.
That one is, yeah.
Okay, sorry.
No, so
But
the
it'd be nice,
Blender.
'cause it'd be like a peace in the Middle East situation. If I could wake up tomorrow and it was happening, I'd be like, great, no one was beefing anymore. It'd be fantastic. But yeah,
Well,
that's mainly it.
It's
Some of
funny
it
that you
stems
say
just
that.
by the name of how we build, right? Like initially when this all started, like before Banjo invented the Banjo glitch, for instance, the base that we're at here by the builder, you would literally have to glitch the game's menus in order to get a build part to go to where you wanted it to go, and it's been stigmatized as glitching through like walls in et cetera, as a form of like hacking the game's engine on every other game and every other platform. So it always had this negative connotation to it, that you're doing something you're not supposed to be doing. But when you look at the build menu, it tells you how to rotate a part, how to turn it into a wire, how to turn it back into a part, and nowhere in that menu does it tell you that you're not allowed to press 2 buttons. Like every game we played before this, we'd run and jump Super Mario Brothers, we'd duck and kick Street Fighter, we'd block and punch every other first-person fighter, first-person shooter, etc., etc.
Damn it.
It seems a lot of the Puritan aspect out of this is like, oh, you're not allowed to do this, or it's not described by the game's instruction set that you're allowed to do it, therefore we're not allowed to do it, we shouldn't be doing it, and it's going to somehow ruin the game's code. I mean,
That's full on.
some of the
Yeah.
arguments I've heard about this, I'm like, my lord, tell me you know nothing about computer programming without saying it. I don't know, that
Well,
sounds like
the-
really snide, but I mean,
example-
there's some conversations I've had that you'd rub your forehead raw from. You're like, wow. Anyway,
The
sorry.
best example is the comments are always based around, well, that's not allowed, that's cheating. I would say with pretty fair confidence that it was an unintended action, right? The build system was designed in a unique way, and it's unique amongst games in general, but it had an unintended consequence that does not destroy the game in any way. Now, they've had years to write that out of the game, but not only have they not written it out of the game, almost, I think every single build that's highlighted on the anomaly is a glitch build.
Yeah.
Currently, yeah.
Okay, that bubbling sound you're
Nine that I've
hearing
seen, they are.
is Miha's brain boiling in his skull.
Yeah, my brain is completely exploded. I'm speechless, guys. I barely,
found
to be honest,
Poseidon.
paying attention to what you're saying. But I want to say that, I would like to step back to two things. I just, for people who just joined us right now, the main, based on my understanding, the main issue that you guys try to solve is there is just the game designed in a way that doesn't allow many people or many builds to be in the same place, and there was a massive tension between glitch building community and Blender building community, and there was also another small issue, which is new players who just join the game, and anyone who just joins this stream and take a look to this thing, they were saying like, is this No Man's Sky, correct? I mean, I personally, when I play, my first build, and pretty much until recent, I can barely just make a house. I mean, I'm just so happy if I made a house. I have no idea how can I make this, wizard or
You,
sea.
Miha, you happen to know a couple of people that'd be more than happy to teach you. I mean,
Yeah, I got a couple of these offers. But the point here is that I've been enjoying seeing this stuff, and I need maybe, I was just speaking, I don't remember, maybe with Kim before stream and saying, I need maybe 200,000 years just to see what's already available in No Man's Sky before I even thinking about building anything else. So this is pretty much the three main problems you guys faced, correct? And you had this, and Lena also, correct? Lena didn't speak at all, so maybe you can give her a chance to speak a little bit. This was pretty much, the three main issues you guys were trying to solve with the Distant World Tour, and by referencing the historical, approach that happened in Lead Dangerous, you guys came to the idea about, okay, let's sit down and plan this. So walk us through, the process. Maybe Lena, if you're familiar with it.
Oh, I just wander around, make videos, and then go, here guys, there's some nice things out here.
Yeah,
Please go visit them.
Florida.
I wasn't involved in the organization of this at all.
Okay, so
Then let's
like
give it back to Snacks. Yeah.
organization-wise, I guess it would be like I started off in the Over 30s group on Facebook, and from there I joined AGT, PBF, Chimera Corp, which Max is our noble leader for, and a couple other smaller groups, and really kind of delved deeper and deeper into things, seeing other people's builds that they were posting, and this is when I was super shy about it, and I didn't want, my builds really being put out there. It was after I joined a now defunct group where I met Tesseract and was dragged into Unification Day. That's where the ball kind of rolled. But with each one of these other groups, like with Chimera Corp, the Index, PBF, and AGT, they usually have a build challenge that will happen on a cycle. So it'll go one group to the other, and depending on how many people actually show up for the build, we don't really have that much of a rendering problem. But if we were to all build on one planet, we'd have all these problems that we had addressed earlier with the Unification Day. Like when Enro would come to stream one of my builds for Unification Day, it took 20 minutes just for it to load for him. And we're like, well, we got to get rid of that. Like as a content creator, that's got to suck, right? Because obviously you guys are going to get frustrated. You're not going to want to hang out and actually look at the base. How can we change this? and every builder builds for their own reason, but you know, there's a parcel within us that wants to be praised for good work. You know, like, hey, you did a great job there. You know, we all have our own egos and ego death that's associated with it. But
I've always said that this is a bit like adult show and tell.
yeah, really, well, it is, because like there's some truly incredible things that you can do with a limited amount of parts, and it all comes down to playing with the parts, having part knowledge, and just experimenting with it. Like I've joked around for the entire time that a glitch build. My build style is throw shit at a wall and see what sticks. You know, like I'll tear down a wall if I don't like the way it looks. And much like Tesseract has said before, I don't like being on the forefront, but by numbers I ended up as being stage 1, base 1.
Oh, I did that on purpose.
Yeah, I know. I know, but like, okay, so that got me over, you know, like actually presenting myself as a builder and what I'm about, and it actually kind of made it a little bit easier in the later stages approaching other builders, because I could be that, you know, like, hey, no, look, I'm not just a co-founder, but like I'm also a builder. Here's my stuff. Here's our website. Made it really easy with approaching like Discord groups, Facebook groups, etc., with promoting it, trying to get more builders to come in, because we're not trying to take away from any one community, because we're not a community ourselves. We're just a tour agency, which just wants to show other people that enjoy this game other really cool things to see in this game. And so there's, you know, it's not really an allegiance to any one group, other than the group of builders, I guess.
Well, it's the one of the number one tenet is respect the builder. That's our number one ethos. But also think about, like you're talking about, the problems to be solved. One of them is object permanence, right? The only places that we can really put our work is in whatever Discord groups we belong to, which are isolated silos, and unless you're aware that that community exists, you don't even know that it does. Or places like Reddit, which is like throwing a post-it note into a wind tunnel. And you know, one of the other things is you could spend 3-4 weeks on a build and it's phenomenal, and it gets 3 likes, and somebody posts a Diplo and it gets 1,000.
Yeah, that's
hell?
actually one of the main reasons why I wanted to make this, you know, show later on, to highlight the efforts done by the builders. But before I leave this area here, again, credit to the builder, correct? I mean, somehow he managed to capture the vibe of a very, how do you say, Amazonian river trip, correct? This is something like, you know, what is a popular movie from The Rock, just recent, when they go on a trip and they're trying to, you know, retrieve a necklace. It's a very popular, you know, ride also in Disney. I can't remember what
Jungle
it's called.
Cruise.
Oh,
Jungle Cruise.
Cruise.
Yes, there we
So this
go.
is actually very Jungle Cruise vibe,
I did not know
correct?
that.
and yeah, it's extremely giving me this exact vibe, you know, because the color of the river here is crazy, but this freaking thing here looking me in the eye all the time is scary as hell. And I don't know why or how some of the builders are able to, you know, have this. You know, if I look to the left, if you guys have looked to the screen, the eye move with me, correct? So it's like it's looking to me and moving its actual eye. Like if I'm going to the top, I can still see it. I'm going to the left. So these things are very interesting. It's maybe just my imagination from staying too much in the water, but in reality, this is so freaking awesome because it captures the exact vibe of a cruise. And the details is that when you go under the water, you actually see all the different kind of details, like, you know, nothing is missing. And because I'm close to this thing, I don't know what it's called, every time it explodes, my headset vibration happen, and then it's giving a way more immersive experience. So VR is all about immersion, and I'm really being immersed in this. I just gonna go up here and take a little bit of freeze, I wanted to look to the sky, and then I see this massive amount of teeth coming up. So is there a place I can rest here, or is there still more?
You haven't even been inside yet, Miha.
Yeah.
Oh, there's still more?
It's a big one. It's a big one.
Okay,
Yeah, there's a
so,
whole there's a whole cave section too. I mean, there's there's a
Yeah.
lot.
Well,
let's-
Face detective.
let's give in our server a bit to welcome anyone on his channel. Anything from your channel, man? Any comments you want to add about this history of this build that you want to share with us? And anyone can tell me where is the entrance, because the teleporter doesn't work for me.
All
And I
right,
also
follow
want to
me.
know
Do
one
you,
more thing.
do you
If
see
you
me,
stay in your
Miha?
place for a moment, I want to check something.
Yeah.
Don't move. I want to see if I can do this. Oh, I can do this because in the past, when before they reduced the collision in multiplayer, I was not able to touch other player in VR.
Oh,
Now I can
okay.
do some crazy stuff. I'm actually touching your beard here. You see, I can do this to NPCs, but I have never done this to player. The point
Okay.
is that this character
HR
is
intervention.
available. Yeah. This character is also available in the anomaly, and Irna was actually sitting inside one of the cars in the previous museum, and he stand up, and my heart popped out of my chest because for a moment I thought this was a statue, and didn't move to correct that. The museum is too many stuff. You always have these, freaking movies, night at the museum.
Yeah.
When the statues bring back to life, and I just got this moment for there. So, Enra, anything from your channel, man, you want to share? I know people are watching there. I don't want them to get bored and,
No, we're doing good. Everybody's enjoying themselves. I'll tell you what, if you want to follow me, let me show you. You missed something underground. There's a little cave area.
Yeah, I
Before
saw
we
it,
go
but I was not sure
inside.
if I can go there. And Max and Kim, anyone from the No Man's Sky Wonder show that we want to welcome, or any comments, questions they want to take to us?
Nope, just everyone, a couple people ducking out on their carrying on with their Sundays, and we were wishing them a good voyage. But
So
other
yeah,
than that,
fair.
we're tuned and ready.
Come this way here,
Yeah,
Miha.
I've seen this cave here.
And then this
Watch
back
that nice little
here
detail.
is doors.
Ah,
I
these
gotta
are
say, every
oh
time
my
I'm doing a
god.
PBF build,
Yeah.
Shin Banjo is always on site. He is there
Yeah.
every day, and he uses the entire month for his build challenge. Like when we did the Western build last September on this Devil's Dust Bowl, Nirvana picked this just awful planet. Like bless her, but God was it terrible. But we all came out and just. But he's just puts every single ounce into his builds. Like if you've Miha, I'll take you to his build that he did there, because he built like a train, like a hover train, and he built it 4 times because he wanted you to experience traveling in it through the short range teleporter. It wasn't just enough going through the teleporter. No, the train's coming with you, so it like follows you on the journey, and it's just he's a wizard.
He is, yeah.
I've learned quite a bit from him over the last couple of years. Sure.
This is so
Yeah,
cool.
He's definitely, he can make things just out of nothing. He's definitely one of those people.
Wow.
I can't talk, guys.
I
wanna have
thought you didn't
little
want to miss this.
Octopi over there.
Yeah.
I went too close to the darkness.
This is awesome.
Yeah, that
This
octopus with the
is,
arms made out of the Vigilant Tarot. That's such a good idea.
That's
This
really
is like the deep sea creatures that you remember the movie Finding Nemo, correct? So it was dark, and then suddenly he found one like this.
Yeah, lanternfish.
Chasing him, they were trying to get the address with the child. The environment setting with the lighting and how these things are as close alive to anything else I have seen in No Man's Sky so far.
Yeah.
And the
100%.
teeth, man, the teeth.
Oh, you're
Plus, they have
gonna
light. Yeah.
turtle. You're gonna love the Mad Hatter build. Oh my god, the Cheshire Cat. Just I
Yeah.
sat there and stared at that thing for like an hour.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. These are a whole family of chasing, ghosts or whatever they are chasing me. But the problem is that I am already trapped here. Wherever I go, I'm chased by different kind of creatures underwater, and
You see the
people who have-
crab up on land here, Miha?
where?
Right here.
Oh my god. Ah.
And then further down, there's a spider web.
Oh, look
No,
at
I-
the crab. This is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys already went
I-
past the fish?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So
Yeah.
I come through from the museum, so I come the opposite way.
Gotcha. Okay, yeah.
This is beautiful. The mix of the underwater, the water with the caves and the lighting, and the colors are just very beautiful in VR. And you know, somehow you end with this crazy spider web at the end. There is no inch here that doesn't have someone that wants to eat me. I don't know what I have done to you guys. Why? Why is this? Just eat me, man. Eat me. I'm done for it. Yeah, so I'm traveling in few days, but you know, I think I will, after this stream, I need to rest until I travel because there is just
Recover.
massive amounts of things around here.
This
So,
is
Teleport caves? Wow, that's I like that a lot.
oh my god, see this spider.
That was beautiful.
Yeah.
I
Such a
might
good
be in
job.
trouble.
Beautiful and scary, correct? There is just
Portions on the legs are just excellent. Just like you know,
yeah. What a good idea to use those.
To
you
use
hit all the
those,
heads
yeah.
inside the stone. Just yep.
Mhm.
Yum,
So you can imagine that I have actually got sticked here and eating right now. I still want to, you know, I still want to reach the moment where you guys, yeah,
You have,
No, I don't think
you
I
have a
would.
Mediterranean seasoning to you. Watch out.
Yeah, yeah.
Flavor palette. God, I'm
Why?
hungry.
Well,
Anyway.
You know that
this looks
the
evil.
dis-
Go ahead, sorry.
it's a Distant Worlds tagline is "I'm gonna steal that."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, all throughout
No,
the
what-
tour, Enra was doing streams throughout most of the bases on the tour, and I think we were all joking. Yeah, we've all got a shopping list.
Yep.
We're
Yeah.
Yep. Distant World base
So
tours
what-
always had to come with a notebook.
Yeah,
Many screenshots later.
Mhm.
Oh, I'm
This,
still poaching. I still am.
Oh yeah.
the cave, you know, design here and the whole environment setting, and finding the spider with these evil eyes. It doesn't actually have eyes, but somehow it feel like it have eyes because it's all connected to the center above the teeth. And I'm looking 90 degrees up here. This is something you guys don't want to see in VR or in real life. Trust me. It's
Oh well,
bad.
so I'll give you guys a look ahead. We're about to launch the Bonfire Builds. It's the summer event, and it's basically going to be a user-contributed base tour of builds in fire environments. So any planet that has firestorms or volcanoes. And one of the builds was done by let's see, Dashboard built it. It's a spider on a volcano.
Miha saw it last
has
week.
Eyes. Yeah, it has eyes. So, spoiler alert.
Oh yeah, I
starting
saw
with
this last
hair.
week and I
Yeah, Miha saw it last week.
Of this one. Give
Yeah,
me some
so
good nightmares.
Yeah.
exactly.
Wow. Okay, so Tess and Slack guys, okay, I want to reach the moment when you guys sat down and started planning for the tour. You know I and the actual idea. Okay, so I'm gonna roam here for a moment. I think I need to get out of here. I'm so
There's- If you just
Ye-
pass me, Mia, there's more stuff down that way.
there is still more stuff down here.
Yeah, come
Oh,
past
one that is
the.
smiling, but it's a
Remember-
creepy smile.
We told you
Correct.
this. Just doing these two bases could take up a whole stream all on its own.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, you gotta come
I-
past the spider.
Oh, I need to come back to the spider. Can't
Past
I
it.
go from here? These guys are smiling. They are creepy smiling, but they are still smiling. At least friendly faces here. Wow.
It's always,
Alien
I love
creature.
I love what people come up with using the parts because I mean some of the most interesting things are the most simple combinations like that.
Mhm.
Using
Yes.
those for eyes, and it's just it never ceases to amaze me.
The key thing is that they are smiling, correct? But at the same time, I'm not sure if they are smiling because they are gonna eat me or they are just happy that they saw me. Probably to eat me, yeah.
A little bit of both.
Yeah,
A little bit of both, yeah.
I mean, they have been in a cave by themselves for a while.
If my bagel could
They are
only see
happy
me
to
now.
be right?
food is here. All right. All right. So yeah, Tess and it's like you guys, if you want, to continue with the story. So for the people who just joined now, and I guess hopefully everyone who's been watching since a while. Wow, beautiful. We have been through the first phase, correct? The first actual problems. This was covered pretty much in the first half of the stream, and now I want to go inside the brain of these, geniuses, Slack and Tess, and understand, how they validated the hypothesis and how they started to problem solve this. Because I really like the idea that you guys analyze the situation and had a clear understanding of what is the problem. I really want to apologize, for the people who are watching this later or watching it now. I can't focus at all. I mean, the amount of stuff I'm seeing here is mind blowing, and I can't focus. So I'm gonna give this back to you guys. I'm just gonna try to absorb what I'm seeing here because the sheer scale of the environment, lighting and color, and being underwater is crazy. So I usually try, as I said, I try to keep my left part of my brain quiet and focus and immerse myself. I didn't have to do this today at all, except when we are struggling to have the base load, because the immersion is mind blowing, and I still have, I want to give credit to Hello Games, because look at the cave, guys, correct? Again, you see these caves in No Man's Sky all the time, but when I see them in VR, correct? Yeah, we know they are the same boring rocks, but the amount of details here really matter in VR, and I'm having a good amount of time. I just need to be able to absorb this and keep going, because it's just too many stuff to absorb.
I guess this would be my time to plug distantworldstours.com.
Yeah, there you go. Shameless plug.
Yeah.
DistantWorldTours.com.
Please take your time, view what you want to see, view as much or as little as you choose. That's entirely up to you. We didn't build the content, but we did organize it and put it into a place where it's got some permanence to it. It will be archived, so moving forward into next season and every subsequent tour afterwards.
Yeah. I mentioned this before. Sorry, but I don't want to forget this because my mind is melting right now. So I mentioned this before, but I'm gonna mention it again. Correct. I plan to have a dedicated day for the Distant World tours, separate from the standard shows on Sunday, because these guys, in the Distant World tour, Slack and Lean, I don't want to say this in front of them, but being able to allow people to come and see this stuff without issues is a massive achievement, and it allow content creators like myself to have huge amount of material to cover. It also allow players to come and visit this without having an issue. So I want really to have a day just to cover the Distant World tour basis, because I am extremely slow in my tours, and I need to get out of this guy a little bit, and this guy. I'm extremely slow, and I take so long to cover stuff, but I'm gonna have a dedicated day just to cover the Distant World tours. Hopefully the previous one. By the time they launch the new one, hopefully I'll be able to cover hopefully all of these bases in VR. So
There's a
back to you,
wisdom
guys.
there's a wisdom to going slow. I will tell you that. That's because we had to race through all these bases to build the tour assets, but I've since then gone back and spent a long period of time really just studying each builder's voice, and learning like what's fascinating to me is their perspective. You see the end result as a base, but what you're actually seeing is how they see the world, and that's getting to know all these people through their expressions, and it's fascinating and it's wonderful. And like Slacks mentioned this earlier, but I can't thank the builder community enough for embracing the project, because our great innovation was we built a list.
Well,
There you
on the
go.
website.
That's
Thanks.
yeah. It's a
And a
it's
couple
a
bases.
it's
You guys did the
and
rest.
yeah. I mean, there you go. Innovation solved. List building. So okay. I'll jump in first, and we can talk about this for a second.
You've got an abyssal horror right off to your left there, Miha. Watch out.
I'll give him a hug.
Yeah, there was a horror here.
It's like
Oh, he
Gravitino
just-
balls. Gravitino orbs are friendship orbs.
He
just-
Kids. No, I'm just kidding.
They're just little baby sentinels.
They're not.
They
They're,
just want
they're
to be
not
picked
friendship
up.
orbs.
They just want to be
Yeah.
friends.
You mentioned that you guys built a list, correct? It made it sound so simple, but I really believe that there have been huge amount of work to get this list to where it is right now, and why don't tell us a little bit more?
Well, so the simplest way to think about it is context, right? If you look at what we did, and I love to keep touching on this, is it's problem solving, right? Builders are problem solvers, so it's how you approach the problem, and if you start by asking questions. I'm getting an echo, by the way. If you start by asking a question, like we started with, well, this all sucks, and we, instead of dwelling on that, we turned it into, well, how might we make it better? And we started breaking it down, and we started figuring out ways that we could use the way the system works to actually work in our advantage. So Slacks mentioned this earlier. One of the key things we did was we isolated each builder into a system of their own, which simultaneously gives the builder complete autonomy and freedom over their entire system. They can build one base or many, it's up to them.
It immediately displays any griefers as what they are, because if you go
Yeah.
to the website looking for, say, Maximus's build, and somebody else has put a base there, you know that other base is the griefer. He's the bad actor, right?
So that brings us back to, you were asking about what was the trigger, right? We were talking about this, and to be honest, the moment that we made the decision to move forward was somebody dropped what I call the dumbass dome on top of everybody's builds in Unification Day, and it broke the planet. And there was just it just devolved from that point forward, and there was anger and frustration, and it kind of just soured the moment. And at that moment we were like, this sucks, but it happens every time. Yeah, it's just going to happen every time. And to be frank, I'm not okay with that. I'm just not. If we're not going to solve the problem, then we're accepting that it's just going to be okay, and I'm not okay with that decision. So we decided at that point, it's like, well, let's do something better, right? That we know what the problems are, we know what some hypothetical solutions would be, and we know where our targets are. Let's do a thing. So in December we decided, yeah, we'll go forward and do it, right? And so unfortunately the impetus to do the tour was based on a negative experience in one of these events, and as a result we make a conscious effort to not dwell on that. There's a sense of like we're addressing griefing and poor performing behavior. That's like a less than 1% of the reason to do this, but it is the catalyst that drove us to act, because this should not be acceptable. The fact that everybody knows it's happening but nobody will address it openly is a problem. So my take on it, and what I brought to the conversation, was I don't like confronting that conversation. I like to empower the opposite, because giving them the argument is what they're asking for, and I'm just not going to engage. But if we create this other thing, their argument dissipates against the structure that we built, right? Because we're empowering the builder. That's it. That's the core of it, is how do we make this about the builder and extension to how do we make this about becoming a builder, and then extension to how do we support the streaming community with rich content and introduce the builder and the streamer and then the broader community, and that becomes like the kind of three-legged stool that holds this thing up. It's the travelers, we call them, the builders, and the media, and those three components are what we service. So it is unfortunate that the catalyst that drove us to act was a severely negative behavior, but the result has been extraordinary, in my opinion. I mean, we wanted to create something that gave a sense of community, that gave the builders the best opportunity to shine, that addressed this ridiculous argument between Blender and Glitch, and I'm just going to point that out. I'm very subjective on that. And that really gave an opportunity for people that are just understanding what building is to really see kind of a trajectory and ultimate possibilities. And the last part would be object permanence, right? We have everything cataloged on these quote-unquote lists, and it's not going to disappear like posts in Reddit, right? It's going to be there. The 2023 Grand Tour will be there when we're doing 2024. And, you know, we've got several tours planned the rest of this year. So,
Guys, one question.
Yeah.
There is still more stuff in here?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh my god.
Follow me.
That's
No,
water.
not in the water,
This
Miha.
God,
Not in the
this
water.
God of War here, God of Water, correct? What's it called? I forgot my name, guys.
Poseidon.
So,
So Miha, I
Yeah.
gotta run. but
yeah,
great-
yeah.
great hanging
He,
out. Look
I
at that
feel
crowd.
like I saw him maybe 3 days ago, and then I see this thing up here that I haven't seen anything close to it before, and my goodness. And now I think it's night, so the color or morning or something, things are more red, more bloody, like there was already a battle in here and people died, and this is the blood of them. I am a very how do you say, I'm a non-violent person in general, correct? I'm a very nice guy, correct? I think I like to think about myself. I'm a very nice guy, correct? And what did I do to you guys? Correct. Okay. Let's keep going. Yeah. Just kill me now. Just kill me now. Give my hands up.
All right, let's jump up to the.
Because my brain exploded already from the sheer scale of the stuff. I just wanna take a moment here, and I can't even take a moment without a tease trying to eat me. And look to this planet here. Planets, birds, correct? You can imagine, oh, these guys so silly. I'm just taking a breeze here, correct? Just taking a breeze where there is, nothing trying to eat me or, blow me away or eat me or cut me to
Solid ground, Miha.
Yeah.
Solid ground. There you go.
yeah, solid ground,
Alright. You guys
Here
have
is
a
this
good rest
cool
of your
guy. You see
stream.
this
We'll,
cool guy?
we'll see you soon. We'll see you next week.
Take it easy, Max.
Yeah, you see
Yeah,
this?
enjoy. Great to see you.
Bye, Max.
Bye-bye.
Bye. So what I was trying to say is that you see this cool guy here, and you imagine that this is a cool, nice, funny thing, but you see there is still a little bit of sarcastic smile under its eyes, and now I understand why. Correct? This is just a welcoming message, but in reality, people will come here in VR, will get their ass kicked for sure. Okay, man. Let's go to the entrance and let's let's continue. I think we are getting close. To the
Follow me up to the
understanding
balcony here.
of the reasons. We know the reasons why, and let's go in and you mentioned that the list was a great invention. You sound so simple, but I think there is way more to that. So yeah, let's continue with the story.
It's a way for us to show builders and travelers alike, content creators, etc., other builders. Like, if you look at the website, you'll see that there's points of interest, which are bases that we've seen or picked up on Reddit and weren't able to get in contact with necessarily with the builders themselves in order to do a full-blown waypoint on them. On the waypoints, we have a builder bio. We list their social media if they want to share it. Any content that any streamer provides to us, we embed that video into the site as well. really all we're doing is promoting the aspect of this game that we enjoy the most, which is the building. So,
But when was the aha moment, correct? That you actually guys came up with the idea of making a list or points,
Who
draw
do you-
points to.
it was literally, who do you know as a builder? Who would you like to, who do you think we could get on board?
Well,
That's-
the structure comes from the way Distant Worlds was handled in Elite Dangerous, right? They had several hundred stops along the way to cover the journey, but they did it in 10-day segments, and that there was some purpose behind that. But if you think about like when you're basically the tour is a story, right? It's so you want to control the pace and the time. There's a tenet in architecture that you tell somebody where they can go but not how they get there, or you can show how to go someplace but not where it leads. And both of those types of approaches in environment design, like an architectural design, are playful. It makes it more interesting. So that's what fed into the structure. Is the structure actually works to our advantage from an editorial standpoint, in that we don't have to design the entire tour all the way up front. We can do it in segments, which gives us a lot of breathing room, and we desperately needed that, it turns out. But also, like we mentioned early on, is if you can see the 60 or so stops ahead of time, that's a little daunting. But if it's only 10 or 11, that's totally achievable, and it's more likely that you're going to follow. So we're controlling the pacing and the timeline of sightlines of the story, and there's a lot of thought that we put into curating each of the stages. They all kind of have a perspective. Stage 5 was more of the interactive games. Stage 6 was a lot of the kind of really deeply intricate engineering builds. We tried to do that as much as we could. So there is a lot of overthinking, to be honest, that went into everything. Everything that happened in the structure of the tour was deliberate. What we were trying to do was make it feel organic and simple. So when you encounter the list, it just works, and you can follow it, and it's intuitive and it's fun, right? The whole point of it is it should be fun. The builder should have fun, the streamer should have fun, the traveler should have fun. This should just be fun. There, no drama, no impedance, no friction.
Did you had any idea on the scale that's gonna evolve in for the Grand World Tour when you started thinking about creating this list in this way, or the effort required?
I will say that I did. It took a little bit of convincing for Merc and Slacks to see it, and one of my favorite moments in the entire thing was when Enra finally had the aha moment of, holy crap, this is going to be huge. I don't have the time for all of this. And I was like, welcome to the party, Enra.
Yeah.
Hey, Delta One has joined us.
Hey, Delta.
Hey, Delta.
Hey, Delta, man, thank you for joining, man, and you should have warned me. You, Delta One and Enra, you guys should have warned me that I'm gonna get my ass kicked today, correct? So I'm disappointed in you guys. You should have warned me.
Well, we did.
For what?
We told you this
We
was going
tried
to
to
be.
tell you. I gave you full disclosure.
Yeah, we told you this was. I told you flat out you could spend 2 hours here easily.
Easy. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Okay,
Look
so
at this,
can
look at this.
Oh,
the
look at
jet
the
engine,
stairs.
the jet engine flames? How
The
are
stairs,
they blue?
yeah. Saucer shrooms.
Oh. I'm totally stealing that.
Nice.
This is where that
Perfect, yeah.
infinite product knowledge comes in.
See, I'm totally stealing that right there.
Oh, it's fantastic, yeah.
Thank you for joining Delta One, and really appreciate I really appreciate the content creator community. I actually really want to thank pretty much all the No Man's Sky community, correct, for being a very welcome community. And unfortunately, again, putting people together, trying to work toward a common goal will always have trouble. But so far your take, guys, on analyzing the issue, putting a plan, even assuming or estimating the effort, you knew it's gonna be huge. You knew it's gonna be crazy amount of work. You have your own life, you have your own personal issues that everyone is facing. You still wanted to do this, correct? And you done it, correct? Tell me a little bit about the planning stage. When you started to put around, the people, convincing them, and the website, and the videos.
Well, the website's purely tasks.
Well, okay, so
that's that head.
I would say let's break it into 3 parts, right? There's tour management is a huge thing. Public perception and recruiting. So each one of those needed to be addressed simultaneously because they're all codependent. And each one presented its own unique challenge, right? So one thing I can draw from my experience in industry is perception is 99%. So when we started looking at like the website, I knew exactly what it needed to be to create a perception that would benefit the project as a whole. And the benefit to this was that I didn't have to work this through a leadership team or people that make decisions above me or anything. It was basically that part of it fell to me directly, so I was able to art direct the brand development, structurally direct the website, and build the whole thing myself. Now that's not something I would typically recommend to somebody, but in a project like this, it's small scale, it's not, but the result is that I was able to curate the exact experience I needed for the website so that it presented our project in a professional sense, right? It looks professional, and we're creating something from nothing, and we did it in a very short period of time, so that was kind of critical. The structure of the tour falls back to the list and how we're going to break it down into pieces. And then that even steps back further into understanding that when I had to design the website, I can't design it around one tour because the tour service is not about the grand tour. The tour service is about all the tours. So I had to go ahead and create a whole bunch for the rest of the year just so that we could build the one, because we needed the frame of context around that for people to understand what we were up to.
Scalability.
Yeah, exactly.
Modularity and scalability.
Exactly. So it's future-proofed, right? It's future-proofed, and that gives us a lot of flexibility in tour design. So each one of these tours is like an experiment. We're trying different things every single time. The Grand Tour is the most structural. It has the most ceremony. It's got all the system scans, the ships, the multi-tools, all the critters you can tame, all the upgrades you can buy, all of that. That's an intense investment in time. We're only going to do that once a year. The rest, like the bonfire builds that's coming up, so we've had 3 tours since Grand Tour. In stage 6 of the Grand Tour, Slacks is part of the AGT community. I think a bunch of you are. They were doing their anniversary, so they had a whole bunch of base builds, so I put together an itinerary for all of their bases so that they have a list of things you can go visit for that anniversary. Now the anniversary only lasted for like a day or two, but the list is still up on the website, so you can still go look. The Star Wars Day, May 4th, that happened a month ago, well, a month and a half ago. And so basically I went around and collected as many Star Wars bases as I could find, and Leonaris has some of the most beautiful builds on that tour. I have to point that out. I was like, I love the Mantis. That's the interior of the Mantis is something that none of you should miss.
Yeah.
I mean, I focus, my builds focus on interior design, and I got to tell you, Lee, you dunked on me, seriously. And I stole your center console idea. That round center console you did in the middle of the room, I totally stole that. But yeah, oh my god, she did the Ghost from Star Wars Rebels, and I cannot enough tell you how beautiful that is. I was stunned. I was absolutely stunned.
Spaceships.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So we've done a few tours now. The Star Wars tour was basically me trolling Reddit, and the bonfire builds is a different type of thing. It's it's open to the builder community. It's basically, you can submit as many as you want. The difference here is you don't have to submit one base. It doesn't have to be a new base. If there's anything built on a fire planet, include it. This is just a summer road trip, so we're going from, fire pit to fire pit, and that's all it's going to be. And it's just a way for people to kind of be on a tour. One of the things we haven't really mentioned to anybody is, if you're on our Discord, if you've got the builder tag, it's because you participated in a tour. That's the only way to get that, right? So I haven't really spent any time like framing the community out at all. I apologize for that. But yeah, to be a Distant Worlds builder, all you got to do is build and be on a tour, and that's all. To be on a tour, all you got to do is ask.
And
participate. Yeah, and
participate
and be there. So
that's it.
So
respond
the
to
third
DMs.
component.
Yeah, please. I mean, because okay, so the reason why I specifically asked for people to respond to DMs is, since Tesseract is doing all the behind the scenes of actually hand coding the site, I'm literally giving him the information that the builders are providing to me and the streamers are providing to me just in time for him. So I'm pre-organizing it so he can do his madness with the website. Plus I'm trying to find other people to help contribute with pathfinding, recruitment, building, etc., etc., etc. So like there was a time where I had gotten 3 hours sleep in 36 hours, and
that was common.
Yeah, and that was a regular occurrence. Now during the wintertime, that's not such a big deal because I work in trade, I build infrastructure. So when the blistering orb is in the sky in the summertime, that's usually when I'm the busiest. So I'm off in the winter, I take it off. So it provided me some type of leeway, but I can't spend that much time. I've got a 14-year-old that I've got full custody of, etc. We all have lives, right? But the biggest thing for me would be to, if you're going to participate, actually participate. If you can't, just let me know. I'm not going to be mad. I won't be upset. Just don't say you're going to do it and then kind of leave me hanging. Yeah, because I mean, if you can't meet a deadline, that's fine. Let me know, and we can move you to another deadline. Right?
Yeah, so the structure of that was one of the other benefits of segmenting the tour structure for something complex like the Grand Tour. Scheduling was part of it. That's where tour design, infrastructure, and recruiting kind of met head to head. And I'm going to ping you on this to dive into it a little bit, but the piece that we struggled with the most was everybody wanted to be in stage 6 because they wanted the most time to build. So pulling people forward into the earlier stages, and for those of you who did like commit, I honor you greatly. And there's a reason why Slacks came up number 1. Inside baseball, Slacks, Merc, and I were all going to do builds. We were considering doing builds for the tour. Now I was probably not going to, because I wanted to have imposter syndrome. Just insert imposter syndrome here.
Oh my god, I'm back down here.
Yeah, but what it came down to was we considered ourselves floaters. Like, we would fill a gap if we didn't have enough, or a builder had to pull out, we would inject ourselves. What we rapidly found out was populating stage 1 was problematic. We came up on everybody really fast. I do not blame them for their reactions. We came up at them with a completely weird idea that drew a lot of side-eye and activated a lot of people's sort of protection, which just to this day feels kind of weird to me, but whatever. But yeah, Slacks ended up first because in the first leg of the tour, you'll notice everybody did 1 base, except
me and Fishhead.
Fishhead did 5, Slacks did 3. Now, when I'm looking at when I'm organizing stage 1, I don't want the first stop to be 1 base, which means 8 of those 10 builders can't be number 1. And I didn't want to be Fishhead because it's too many in the first part. What you want to do is create a sense of drama. So you start off strong, you build some tension towards the middle, and then you kind of build to a resolution at the end. Each of the stages does that, and then all the stages combine to do that. That's storytelling architecture. So mathematically, what? Go ahead.
You call it Fishhead. I've been calling him Mr. Pisshead.
I
thought the hate was silent.
You've heard of the band called the Grateful Dead, right? There's also another psychedelic folk band called Fish, and it's PHISH. Right, so Fish is his favorite band, so he calls himself Mr. Fishhead. His other alias, his bionic card, and that's because he's had some surgery on his ticker. So he's in No Man's Sky history the most decorated builder by Hello Games. He's had the most.
He is currently on the. He's in the anomaly right now. So is Sparkle.
Yep.
Our joke.
Yeah, and that's his third time there too.
Yeah,
Mhm.
he's in there all the time. Our joke on the inside baseball track when we were looking for, because I was constantly pushing in every direction to get people, specific people, right? People I didn't know that it turns out you all know and are currently in the viewing audience. But one of the jokes I had was I wanted to get everybody that was in the current anomaly. And I'm like, I'm going to get them all, but we could never find the person that did the fueling station, the one in the middle.
They never responded.
Yeah, we could never get a hold of
So
them.
if
really?
you guys know him in the viewerverse, have him
Iteration
reach out to us.
89.
Have him reach
Yeah.
out in the Discord to us, please.
I bring them in because I wanted to collect the whole set. My other inside thing was David Ian, which
Yeah,
brings us
Army of
back to
Gods.
so David Ian is Blender, and his work is probably to the Blender community. I think he's what Crisscross is to the Glitch community, right? To be honest, he's way out there, and his stuff is flat out
all right.
gorgeous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
That whale
what
was
is
nuts.
What's his
The
game
whale.
name?
Army of
He did
Gods. He did the whale.
He did the whale.
And the whole thing was, and this comes back to that conversation around Blender people. What you guys didn't see was the amount of constant chasing after David because he was so afraid to be publicized because of the amount of heat the community drove towards his builds. The Blender community was basically hiding from everybody else, and we drug him out on stage into the spotlight because, and this was my quote, "I will have that whale."
Well, see, like, he
Yeah.
had told me in a conversation that I had initially when we were first populating stages 1 and 2. I was like, I'd really like to have your builds present. I'd like you to represent the community. I'm in a couple of the Facebook groups for Blender as well, right? And he's like, I've tried posting up in other Facebook groups and I get hate mail over it. I'm like, why? And he's like, well, because Blender. So part of the way the builds are arranged in the itinerary, it has, as Tesseract had said, it's like going to the Louvre. You're going to see sculptures, you're going to see paintings. They're going to be in the same museum, but they're not going to be juxtaposed against themselves to compare what's better, painting or sculpture, right? Like they're seen as masterpieces by themselves.
Yeah, that's a pointless comparison. You can't compare a painting
Exactly.
and a sculpture.
But
There's
that
no point
draws
in
us
even
back to the
trying.
original problem. The whole fight is based on an inadvertent proximal relationship.
Mhm.
They can't be compared to one another directly because they're subject to different constraints. What we can do in Glitch, Blender builders can't do. What we can do in Blender, Glitch builders can't do. And that's the analogy we were drawing, was it's a sculpture versus a painting. Yes, they're both art. Why are you comparing them to each other? Da Vinci and Van Gogh are brilliant archetypes for their craft. And we compare them as artists, but we cannot compare their work. So how do we, that was the how might we, right? How might we use that structure of a museum to satisfy this problem? And I will say that the stunning thing that happened was we thought that there would be a lot of heat and argument and anger. We haven't heard any. Like, we put the Blender builders in there. There's a Blender builder in every single segment. Every stage has a Blender builder, and they're fully represented, and they're represented in situ with everybody else in the stage. But removing that proximal relationship removes the judgment capacity, and I think I think my comment to Slacks at the end of the tour was that all it took, really? Because that seems like,
Well, I had a hard time selling to people just the idea of a tour by builders for builders. Like, they thought it was, like, I don't know what it is they thought we were trying to do, And I'd explain it as I was trying to recruit people, and they're like, "Yeah, I'm down with it. I don't know what you mean, but I'm in." I'm like, okay, all right, you build, right? And I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, find a system in Euclid,
Well, we freed up that constraint pretty quick.
populate it with builds. Just all I ask is, don't publish it before the tour goes live, and only one base per planet, please. Make sure it's under 3K so it'll upload. They're like, yeah. And then I get another message from them like, okay, so what did you mean? Oh,
So this solves the main couple of issues with just one stone. You solve the issue regarding the rendering because it's one piece per planet. You welcomed everyone, so you pretty much slightly removed or massively removed the tension between the different build styles. You also opened everything for all of the builders, so giving new builders are welcome to join and feel appreciated, even if their builds are not as impressive as the strange stuff I'm looking for right now, or even even the media and the content creator are all welcome. I'm not sure if you still have anyone still listening to at least my stream, because I have a very tiny channel. But I want to say that first time I spoke to Slacks, he never knew me. He doesn't even know I exist. I didn't know about a lot of the stuff because I'm just active on the No Man's Sky community on Twitter, and it's very distant from the YouTube and the building community. We just usually mostly take a lot of nice, very beautiful shots and share them there, and it's a very nice and welcome community, but it's very distant from pretty much everything else. So when I talk to Slacks for the first time, he just you know what, I'm come and cover for us. The only thing you need to do is put ensure you keep the logo of the Distant World Tour, and then you can do whatever you want. And he just welcomed me. I mean, it really welcomed my heart. Like it really, how do we say, warmed my heart seeing people just helping each other for pretty much no real outcome. I mean, when I tour the Distant World tours for a channel that's like 100 subscribers, there's actually no real outcome for them, but they just welcomed me. And
yeah, but see, Miha, if you have 100 viewers, those 100 viewers might not necessarily know Enra or Vortex or Leonaris or etc. 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 You're exposing a potentially unknown builder to another unknown within the demographic of this game. So you're more or less spreading the love of this game to more people, right? Like one of the greatest things about this community is there's very little griefing on it. They're always welcoming. It's one of the least toxic game environments I've ever played in.
Oh, for
I'm
sure.
46. I've been playing video games since Atari. Right. It's one of the most gamer-centric dev houses in history. Look at all just with this Expedition 10, we've had what, 5 patches? I mean,
Yeah.
obviously they had to because there's problems with it, but can you imagine Bethesda doing this, or EA, or Activision? Name a dev house, they'd be like, get fucked, but
Well,
you spent your
that-
$70 and that's it, right?
Yeah, that's the conversation we were all having yesterday. Is I'm not going to go into my backstory, but understand that I've been in technology since the late 70s, and I've seen thousands and thousands of software house development projects, and I can't even tell you what Hello Games did. Even under they were buckled to produce their game 18 months ahead of schedule by Sony, which I've encountered that before. They ran out early and they suffered as a result. But what they did that I've never seen another software company do was they didn't drop it, they didn't complain, they didn't make excuses. They fixed it. They valued us and their product so much that they've spent the last 6 years giving us the promise that they wanted to give us the first time. They would have gotten it to us if they'd have been given the 2 years they needed, but it cost 6 because it was rushed out the door. Now, that's not uncommon. What is uncommon was they did not disappoint. This game, at this point, is still quite extraordinary. It's unique, and the fascinating thing about that is, one, that generates an enormous amount of community love, right? The No Man's Sky community, it's not the biggest in the gaming industry, but it's one of the most adherent, because we understand that this company actually cares about us. So you look at Frontiers, they created, in the same time frame, they created Elite Dangerous, and right now that game is just going down in flames, and their community kind of hates them. So same space type.
I loved Elite Dangerous. It was a fascinating game, but I deleted it, and my heart got broken because I spent close to 400 hours, and then they simply just told us.
That's the perfect way to describe it, right? Frontier broke your heart.
Go fuck yourself. We are not gonna support you anymore, and do whatever you want. We just don't care about you anymore.
That's exactly it.
Meanwhile, Sean's like, oh, you want some new mech stuff? You want a new archetype in the game? You like these ships? How about these ships too?
Oh no, he doesn't even say it. At this point, he won't even. He'll just be like, he'll be like, sunset rock emoji.
Yeah.
What?
Well, okay, so think of like Battlefield 2042 when it released. Everybody bought a pre-order. It was like 150 US, and it was a complete dumpster fire. It's like drips of dumpster juice under a dumpster rainbow. Like, it's absolute hot trash. Enormous amount of money, right? By a massive dev house with a ridiculous budget, and they couldn't get one of the best-known, well-known franchises to actually function in their 9th iteration of it. But yet we have this company that just brought it to Mac, for instance, through Steam. And if you already have a Steam client, you already have a purchase for PC or Xbox, you get the Mac version for free. Every time they release another Expedition, they put it on sale.
That's another thing too, right? They've given us 40 updates, like 40 completely new versions of the game, something like that, for free. They've never charged us another dollar. Like, I've had this game for since the day of launch, and I've never paid a dime. This
is also why I own 3 digital copies and a physical copy.
Exactly, and I have 2 accounts as well. But that thing right there that you said, Miha, is Frontiers broke your heart, and you won't ever trust them again. Now, the analogy I can draw is, again, full disclosure, I used to work for Blizzard. I left when it became Blizzard Activision because of reasons. And I'm thinking that anybody that understands what happened and what was going on there, you'll understand why I left, because I saw where it was going. But that company broke my heart. It actually broke the hearts of all of its founders to the point where none of them are there anymore. They all left. So that company broke its community's heart as well. And it's so massive, it's still chugging on. But it is nothing like it was 10 years ago. Like, it's just not. I mean, there is a lot of vitriol and toxicity I'm not talking about the community forums. I mean, the reason why people loved playing Blizzard games no longer exists. Because they've pivoted towards money, not user, right? When Morhaime said, I wanted to build these games to make people happy, that was Blizzard. He was so invested in having people have a good time. And that's all that mattered to him. To the point where they would release a game. Yeah, that would be like the games would get released eight months late. Well, primarily I can tell you from experience. Yeah, the internal process was a little bit of Wild West at times, but they wouldn't release a game until it worked and they were happy with it and it was fun. When Activision got involved, that all changed, and every single subsequent release has been more and more of a garbage fire. And now it's to the point where I was at Blizzard for a very long time, and I really have a hard time saying that now because of, again, reasons. It's like it's not what it was. But you look at that and you're like, they kind of broke my heart. Games are an interesting software relationship for people. We don't invest. It's not like Word or Gmail or something. It doesn't just irritate us. We get emotionally invested in these worlds. We get emotionally invested in these experiences. And you can tell the companies that don't understand or value that versus the ones that do. And the list of the ones that do is incredibly small.
Mhm.
So I point at small indie houses like the company that built the game Journey. I use that game as an example of a perfect game. The sound design, the music, the game structure design, it's an entirely non-verbal game. It's gorgeous. And it was developed by like 3 people. And Austin Wintory did the soundtrack, and I love his work. But that was done with love. And you look at No
Yeah.
Man's Sky, and you can feel that this matters to these people, and we matter to these people, to the point where they gave up everything for years to give us what they know we wanted. So, kudos to them.
I want to post at love because I would love to go to the last place because I think we covered this one.
Oh,
And,
I'm at Damalvina's base. If you guys want to just hop through the anomaly, you can
Anomaly,
hop
okay.
in where I'm at.
And
Yeah.
and I want to say a few things first, correct? It's a builder, correct? Because the names always keep, messing with my head. My head is melted, literally. It's literally, I feel my brain split all around my VR headset here. The builder who done this build done a massive amount of work inside here, and again, unfortunately, we didn't plan to have the builders here, but I'm gonna reach to these guys and have a special episode with them to tell us the story, because I have seen stuff inside here that's gonna haunt me for years to come. But at the same time, it's just a massive amount of creativity where everything just fits together and feel you feel the love of the builder to his build. You feel the love of the community to this game, and hearing the story. You guys didn't even reach the mid of the story yet, but I feel the love you guys have to this game, and I believe Shan, he started the seed, he planted the seed when he started working probably with the foundation stage, and that what made everyone feel them pouring their heart correct in this game, and it allow everyone else to follow them. I mean, look at Inner Silver, correct? I mean, he have his stream open, he probably say in his 3 words so far, but he loves the game, and he want to contribute. Everyone here who a lot of people join the stream, different kind of streams. I'm not sure if we had Zaps join us today, and Joe. These guys, they have been pretty much seen people build the same things over and over again. They just love the community, just love the game. There is a huge amount of of love going through these games. That's why when I had a massive talk with a couple of friends about Starfield later, on forums, and I keep saying we should not be able to compare them, and people will keep comparing them together. But even if Starfield is released as the best game ever, which I really doubt, I don't think it will really have any impact on No Man's Sky, because the allowing people to actually come and see the creations that come alive and have this kind of tours and have this kind of community, it's not just about the game. It's way more than that. It's about the emotional attention and the bonds that we create together, the relationships that we build inside the games. There's just too many things going on here. I don't want to keep talking, but I'm gonna join you guys, and I'm gonna give it back to you. And
if you can come through the anomaly. I'm already at Damalvina's base, so you can join us there. But to wrap that back up, it comes down to trust, right? Because I just saw Delta made a really good point, is space games are always going to have their unique attributes, right? You really can't compare Starfield to No Man's Sky, because Starfield came later. It has the benefit of learning from what No Man's Sky did. But what it really comes down to is this: Bethesda versus Hello Games. Who do you trust?
Exactly.
Looking at you, Skyrim launch.
Yeah, so I mean, Bethesda, like we were talking about this in yesterday. Starfield is in pre-order right now. Now, based on recent experiences with pre-order games like Cyberpunk 2077, community has been burned again and again, and the software houses are being driven to profit, not delivery, which they want to hit a schedule to make profit, and experience be damned. And we all know that's going on. So we look at Starfield with side eye as a result.
Oh yeah.
It has all the hallmarks of overpromise and brought in too fast, and Bethesda, and all of those things are like, yes, that happens. Yes, that happens. No, I don't trust them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just one thing, I didn't see the message to travel to your location, so I'm gonna try again.
Oh, are you in
And
my group? I don't know.
I just want to confirm is that I really hope Starfield will work, correct? Because we all are here because we love sci-fi, we love space, so we really wish it worked. But I didn't pre-order it for multiple reasons. I just don't enjoy flat screen gaming anymore. I'm still for sure gonna buy Starfield, but I want
Oh
to
my
see
God,
how it's gonna go first.
You're a dimension snob. Oh my god, look at you.
Yeah. No, I see.
Look at-
yeah,
Look at you and your articulated hands looking down on the rest of us.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Parts guy.
Oh my, you're so 2D.
yeah. No. It's the point is that unfortunately, Bethesda used to love VR, or they used to support VR. Skyrim in VR is a very good game until now. Unfortunately, they didn't port it to PSVR 2. And unfortunately, Microsoft is just a so greedy company. They are just waiting for the VR market to mature and be strong enough, and then they will start entering it. But I really hope Starfield will be in VR one day. But I'm still gonna buy the game. I think any single person who love science fiction will still buy Starfield. It's gonna be working or no, it's a different story. But let's go back. Let's go back to the tour, correct? And the planning phase. The coordination. So just like his main job was reaching to the builder, ensuring that we collect the number of bases, and ensuring that the builders don't announce the build before there's time in the tour.
Yeah, that got did on day one actually.
Yeah. And we had
The point did get
Like
fortified as to
weekend.
why we asked for it.
Well,
I don't
okay,
think
so
it'll happen again.
our only rule, the only rule for the Grand Tour is do not share your base coordinates until your stage goes live, and then have at it. It's all you. But up until that point, we own the destination. Because the reason being is the minute you put that out there, you're going to end up with bases on your planet. The Comball zombie army will incur, everything is going to happen, right? So up until the point that your stage goes live, we can control that dynamic, but the minute your stage goes live, it's open to the public, and it's now not in our hands. So, and I'm not going to out their name because we all know who they are, but the first week, we had people in the Discord, somebody shared their coordinates with a friend, quote unquote, and less than an hour later, there was a massive penis base right on top of him.
which ruins the whole idea, correct?
Well, my
And,
joke was my joke at the time was, I've only had to boot 2 people from the Discord, right? And our ban list is actually empty because I don't ban people. I just boot them, and then they figure out their shit. They can come back. This guy was the first one, and my comment at the time was, I'm not booting him because he griefed. I'm booting him because he put so little effort into it. He could have done better.
So that was terrible.
Yeah.
Okay, so
It was
to go back-
terrible.
To go back to the conversation we were having about Starfield and Distant World, or sorry, No Man's Sky being like comparative against each other, I don't feel that Bethesda is actually going to have, like No Man's Sky does. It has like 5 pillars to the game outside of lore: the ship hunting, creatures, discoveries, base building, etc. I don't think that Bethesda is actually going to have that much depth to the game. There'll be a vibrant storyline for it, but it's going to probably be a play through once type of game versus an endless, infinite sandbox of numerous discovery and what's around the corner like No Man's Sky is. And even if they do implement some type of base building, I highly doubt that they're going to have the peer-to-peer network that No Man's Sky has, which in many ways is fantastic, but it causes all kinds of grief for us. Case in example, when you first landed at Teabag Space, we're all in a group, but you're having rendering issues because the server's trying to feed that base to 4 players simultaneously. Right? We're all asking for these assets to show for us. I can't really see, like, with my history with being a gamer and having Bethesda games in the past, is I can't see them like really
I don't-
pulling their sleeves up and putting in the effort to make
Yeah,
that.
yeah, that comes down to that trust thing. Is I don't trust them to put in the effort to make it good for us. They're asking for our money, and I don't devalue the artistry and the developers, will. What I don't trust is the company is it's a juggernaut of industry, which means that they are entirely focused on supporting their shareholders, not their players. That's my distrust of the corporate gaming community. I will buy it. I will play it. I have Cyberpunk 2077. I played it. It got weird. It got better. But what Slacks is right. What you're not going to see is a No Man's Sky type of community around Starfield, unless we're wrong, and I really hope we are. Like, I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt, because I would love for this pattern to stop and somebody really kind of make it the new norm.
Gamers.
Yeah, well, the game industry, I would rather
Yeah.
that they actually focus on having a solid gamer experience, not just meeting a timeline for profit, because that's really what it is. They're publicly traded companies, so they have to provide profit to their shareholders. That's their number one reason for being. Us having a good time is not really even on their top 10.
Yeah,
That's-
I want to say something here, correct? So I have been playing No Man's Sky in VR 99% of my playtime, unless I'm taking some nice cool pictures, and I haven't so far. I traveled to hundreds of thousands of planets. I haven't seen this kind of sheer scale planet with ring falling on top of me. So the reason I played No Man's Sky is because I love space. I have been so curious about space since I was young. Now no one can go to space anymore, or no one can ever go to space, correct? I mean, very few people who have ever went to space. But this is a low gravity moon, and the scale of this planet really gave me a wonderful impression. So just picking this place and feeling that you are in space was a wonderful meeting. So thank you guys for bringing me here, but the base didn't load for me. I just see few things loaded only.
Give it a sec, because I saw things popping in for you. It's not a complicated base, but we didn't
Okay.
preload this one, so.
This is my
And
favorite.
I want to check with Kim, because I was not sure if I need to go. I mean, having a long stream is a good idea. Kim, do we still have anyone still watching us?
Yeah, we've got 10
Yeah,
still in
looks
the
like they're
chat.
showing 10 on my side here.
That's
Me,
great.
huh? Yeah.
Correct. So people like your story, guys. Okay, keep going then.
Well, so
Thank you
I mean,
guys
I
who
wanna-
are joining, and don't forget to check the Distant World Tour website. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the VR Wonder channel and Inner Server channel. We need to ensure we post the link to Inner channel. It's also in the description.
Hey,
Okay,
Mayha,
so let's
the-
wrap up about Starfield and go back a little bit to
Yeah, I want to get off the.
do you see a
comparison wagon.
teleporter over here by me, Mayha? Because if you could see the base teleporter, the base computer's over here by me as well. You could use the base teleporter to teleport to the base, and that'll usually trigger the load. Pick that trick up
Man,
from Slacks.
I need to trigger, something in my brain to wake up. So what is the name of the base?
This one is
Hadley's
Hadley's, yeah.
Hadley's Hope.
It's
yeah.
So this was an unintended consequence that I kind of rolled with during the tour. Damovina built the space from scratch, right? It's an alien outbreak. So there's a mystery happening here. And as you go
It's
through the
actually
base,
after Aliens 3.
yeah, it's kind of in timeline. It's after Aliens 3, so there's an alien outbreak that's happened here. Now, because the tour encountered it fairly early on, we were able to utilize that. One of the things that I had to deal with at a design level for the pages themselves was we have an awful lot of imagery, but no content, like no text. So I would say, well, the original idea was I would ask the builders to, talk about their build, but, you get 10 people and ask them to provide content, you're going to get one. and so content is always the kill, right? That's always the hardest thing to come up with. So it was right about that time that ChatGPT was making its way through all of the conversations. So I decided I was giving it like a little bit of a play. I was playing around with some prompts, and I ended up creating this character, Larry, the adventure geck, and he became kind of the mascot of the tour. And basically, on every single destination page, there's a story about Larry as he's progressing through the tour. And as I got more adept at managing the ChatGPT, I was able to tailor the prompts to fit the base design. So I started incorporating the base design, and Damalvinas was one of the first that benefited from that, because Larry encountered a distress signal that brought him to this base, and there was an alien outbreak, and he was like, what the hell? And then a couple stages later, in stage 5, we have a base that's basically a space station in which an alien outbreak occurred. And again, Larry's drawn to that from a distress signal and realizes that that was a stop that somebody had made before this base. So that one had an alien outbreak, and they
brought it with
was
them.
traveling, they brought it with them here. And so I tied those two things together using the kind of the story thread. And then at the very end, we had a base that I found was the origination of the alien. I think it was BritRaptor. They were doing experiments on alien eggs that they found on the planet, and they actually had caused this mutation that had spread to that ship. So it wasn't intended, because there was no way I could have seen that coming. But there were a lot of really interesting and fun things we were able to roll in along the way, just because, I mean, it just worked out that way. So if you read the Larry stories, Damalvina is the first encounter. I can't remember the name of the base that was the next, and then BritRaptor at the very
It
end.
was Mr. Barnacles.
I want
Mr.
to
Barnacles
comment
was the
on
middle
That's
one.
right, yeah.
I want to comment on something here, okay? In the VR world, we had, in the PSVR 2 world, we had a game called Red Matter 2.
Yes,
It,
exactly. Yeah.
It blew us away, and I put a review about it, and it's now the benchmark of the VR gaming in general. It's pretty much the best ever VR game that we have on console, correct? And what you have just described is pretty much the exact script of this game. And now me walking exactly here in this Red Matter, this is exactly what I have seen in Red Matter. I mean, if you check, there's a review I put there, it's like 10 minutes, you'll find me walking exactly the same corridor. So people, in VR and in general, just come and say, you know what, No Man's Sky, you see the same planets, you see the same stuff. In 2 hours stream, I have seen stuff that every one of them is just enough to build the whole game by itself.
Yeah,
So,
this reminds me of the Aliens
crazy.
2, the Aliens movie, the base when they get there. That has that vibe too. There's just so many.
Look at the level of details in this base,
Well, what I love about
of, like, there was a fight in here, and alien
what I love
outbreak,
about her
experiment.
base is
Yeah.
there's not a lot. She just uses just enough to move the story forward at every turn. And like, there's so many tiny little details and tiny little moments of joy, like the bar sign out front. It's a simple thing, but I totally stole it again. I'm stealing all these things. She used Byte cables to do a neon bar sign. Okay, that's probably been done before, but that's the first time I saw it like that. I'm like, that's so brilliant. Oh my god. Like lights that are tilted and hanging down, furniture askew. It all, you just hit it on the head. As you move through the base, the story is unfolding ahead of you, and this base
It's a
especially,
horror movie, guys. I don't like horror movies because this is when I always get attacked.
Yeah. So that's what I
Sorry,
love
you
about
got, you
her
got
base.
3 buddies that are still alive with lasers and spaceships.
Yeah, but I know.
Oxygen, so
In-
storyline doesn't
Enra-
interrupt you.
In
not
Silver,
going
if you are hiding somewhere to scare me, please, I have taken enough of scares today, guys. And I'm completely lost in here. I don't think I will ever be able to come out of here alive.
So one thing I wanted to make sure to mention, because we were drawing comparisons between games, And Delta's completely right. We can't really compare this to Starfield, and we can't compare Starfield to this. They're intrinsic to themselves. They just share properties, right? Spaceships, planets, landing, holding a gun, scanning a thing. Those are all shared properties. They're not really equivalent. Starfield's going to be its own unique thing.
Oh my
One
god.
thing.
I should have warned you, Miha, but it was too much fun to not.
My eyes. I think I'm getting a stroke in VR. My eye just poked out. There is a dead body in here, guys. You know that, correct?
Oh, that's another thing I stole.
Yeah.
Was she uses the stickers for blood,
Yep.
and that was I got in one of my builds. I actually decided to use that same kind of technique to tell a story in a room, is use the stickers on the floor.
Yeah.
But-
It's a
but
great
anyway,
idea.
What I was getting at is player housing. One of the biggest problems that every game has tried to solve, and none of them have effectively solved it, is player housing in a permanent universe, right? So World of Warcraft tried to solve it. They couldn't. Guild Wars has a version. Or they had. I don't think they have it in version 2. But Final Fantasy 14 has player housing. There's a version of it out there, but none of them are really what we're looking for. But then you look at No Man's Sky. You've got an inventory of parts, and infinitely expanding, like an infinite space on which to build. And there's, though variably stable, there is a permanence. I create a base. A year later, somebody can come across it, and I can give you a specific example. Hells. He's one of the builders on the tour. I stumbled across a secret lab base he built in a cave. I'm assuming it's a he. And that was just random happenstance. And I dropped a base computer there. I didn't upload anything, and I went back there and studied. That's kind of what got me into glitch building, was that particular base. And I just stumbled across it in the wild, and it's still there. It's on the tour. It's but that phenomenon doesn't exist anywhere but No Man's Sky. Like they've inadvertently they've solved to a degree player housing in a sense of infinite discovery, build, and permanence. They've got it nailed, and for that reason alone, I hope they survive, because they've got a best of class example of how to do it.
Yeah.
So, thoughts?
Imagine,
That's
imagine
colors.
someone randomly land on this planet and he sees this like a new player, correct? He just read a little guides about No Man's Sky. He parks somewhere here.
Sees the
And
base
he
name,
entered this.
Hadley's Hope. He's like, oh, that
Yeah.
sounds like a fun place to go.
Yeah. And he come here and see all of the body explode. This guy, if it's a child, correct? This game now need to be actually, they need to change its rating, because there is actual killing happening inside here. and there is too many sci-fi movies here, and there is too many of them in my brain. But in space in general, we are always worried that we're gonna meet aliens that are gonna eat us. But some of the aliens here are actually coming from inside the person, correct?
Yep.
So like they ate something and it came out of their stomach.
Yeah, this
Oh
one,
my God.
this base, it's one of the perfect examples of it's not massive. I don't think she reached part count. at
No,
all.
I don't think she did. No, I'd be surprised if she broke 2K.
But it's extraordinary in that she understands storytelling with environments.
No,
Really
100%.
well.
Yeah.
Yeah, really well. So this
So
was
good at it.
and I love the fact that it just kind of fell in line with that kind of through line of story.
Mhm.
Like, I'm gonna geek out. That made my day when that happened. I'm like, oh, I could totally use that.
Yeah.
'Cause
Nice.
you guys have to understand, like, what the part that you guys don't all get is, I didn't know at the point when Stage 1 launched, we were struggling to get people getting them into the stages of the tour, because they were launched 1 week apart. So March 15th and then March 21st, right? So there's like a 7-day period in between, or 6 to 7 day period. And when we were 4 days before Stage 1, we had 3 builders in Stage 1. That's it. So we had to stop everything and just hammer on recruiting to get people to pull forward in it. And the people that are in that phase
Yeah.
really pulled through. Yeah, they stepped up. So kudos to everybody in stage 1.
So you had 3 people only in stage 1.
With a
Yeah.
with a complete build.
So
Yeah.
did you have a feeling that maybe things are not gonna go as you guys planned?
Well, I was worried about it, but like you got to understand the normal context of like a community type build. You're given like a build challenge, right? Say for the PBF. Nirvana will post that within like sister communities and give early access to a couple of people or to another civ, and then they release it to the public. So you've now got, you're going to go to a semi-populated place where you see other builds to inspire you to another build, and you've got a month before the next build challenge from the next community comes out. So most of them are accustomed to this having 4 weeks to do a build, and they might take the entire 4 weeks to do one base. We were giving them the option of completely populating a system by themselves, right? So some of them were like, well, I don't know if I should just build 1. I've got 6 planets. Can I build 6? I'm like, yeah. I mean, if you build 1, that's cool. If you build 3, that's cool. If you build 6, that's cool too. I mean, like,
One second. Just 1 second. I'm scared as hell now because it's dark and there's too many dead bodies here. My buddy, Anna, where are you, man? Come take me, please. I think the problem is that I also play in a dark room because I want the IR camera to work probably. And I hate horror games, guys. I mean, is there any nice builds you guys have in this on the tour?
There's a ton, but what we
Is
were trying to do
there
is
something with flowers or anything that have been in it or?
All
right.
The anomaly, I'll take you to one right
Man,
now.
your character is scary as hell, man. Correct? Have no eyes, correct? And it just always
Straight
comes
up.
from nowhere.
Straight up through the roof there, Meha.
yeah, just
No,
fly
I don't
straight
think
out.
I can make it, man. I don't think I can make it.
Well, you can.
There you go, you got it.
You,
Yep.
you can.
I'm
You're welcome to
running
come to
the
the
hell
tower.
out of here, okay?
The tower is a flower planet.
Yeah,
wanted to come there, but-
there's no way I'm gonna enter the tower. I'm just gonna look to it, and I think we are. Holy shit! Okay, so I think we are been here. I mean, we have been doing this. How long we are? 2 hours now, 2 hours and a half.
Yeah, 2.5.
A little over 2.5.
Yeah. So I think we're probably gonna wrap it there, but sorry, should I interrupted you, Slex? You're speaking about the standard process for the community, correct? They are usually used to this, so is it a little bit change to the standard process?
A lot of it was just getting people kind of like to break their shell on, like there's a new guy in a Facebook group, me, okay, and I'm like, hey, builders, would you like to do a tour built by builders? And they're kind of looking at me strange. And then I give them, the odd person would DM me, and I give them the context behind it as how we wanted to set it up. And then they would have to kind of break the shell of what the building norm was. Like, oh, okay, so we're going to go to a hub planet. There's going to be 75 bases there. My base probably isn't going to get seen. There's going to be all these other wicked bases, yada, yada, yada. And I'm like, well, I've already seen your bases. I dig your style, and that's why I've approached you. I mean, you're good enough. I mean, maybe nobody's ever told you that before, but if we've approached you for a build, guys, you're good.
You built a dinosaur out of
Yeah.
rocks, so shut up.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yep.
if you look at the website and distantworldtours.com, you will see that there's everything from vanilla to the wildest blender, right? And
So how long, how many hours did it took you guys for just like to prepare, talk to the guys, and for having this beautiful site, and even for Lena to prepare the videos? Have you guys ever measured this? How much effort you guys spent on that? Is it
I know.
days? Is it weeks?
I am very much aware of the effort it took, and it was so. Let me put it to you this way: the result was worth the effort. right? It was a lot, but I think based on the outcome, I'm really happy with the experience that we provided, and I've heard a lot of people had a really good time, and really that's all it comes down to. So, yeah, it took some work. The next one won't take as much because a lot of this we were creating as we went, right? A lot of the structure, a lot of the processes, a lot of everything, and it was brand new. To Slax's point, we kind of came out of nowhere, going at 90 degrees to the way everything had been done before. And I want to make sure that that we say this is none of this fell to the builders' behavior. None of them were bad actors. We came out really fast, really hard, and sort of orthogonal to the way they're used to doing things. So their reaction was expected. And we were kind of winging it. But we got better in stage 1 to stage 6 was a month and a half, right? We covered a month and a half. By stage 6, we had it nailed. The problem was we had most of the builders in the last 2 stages, so the workload got heavier as we went, but we got better at doing it, which was, so like, you have a background in software. The first 2 stages, I didn't have templates or anything standardized. I tried, but I had to build as I was going. So, and I've done this enough that I understand how to build modular systems. But even then, I had no planning time for certain things. So stage 3, I had a little bit of a gap. We got ahead by stage 2, the end of stage 2. Flax came in and started taking all the base photos in stage 3, and that gave me the time to actually take a few days to standardize the page structure, like the HTML and JavaScripts for the pages. I was able to standardize that so that I didn't have to write everything kind of in situ. I could actually just import, like copy paste the page and then import everything I needed. File naming is a big thing. Like I don't have to, you know what I'm talking about, right? I was able to standardize and proceduralize. So that cut my workload in half. The problem is that we also started doubling the number of builders as we progressed. So even though cutting the workload in half, the number of builders increased. So it kind of kept at that pace all the way through.
I don't have an hourly count of how much time I spent, but you've taken screenshots before. Look at your PlayStation screenshot or PC screenshot, and look at how big that archive is. Mine is 8 gigabytes from stage 2 to stage 6.
Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness!
To give you an idea just how many photographs I've taken.
And there's also Zep was out there. Zep Sonic was out there scanning all the systems as we were going. She was just
cataloging them. Cataloging.
All of the content that you see on the site is her.
Yeah, she has to buy every ship and every multi-tool, and she takes all the pictures. And then on top of that, I kind of threw her a curveball in that I was grabbing all the upgrades from the stations. So so that when you go to the page, you can see all the S-class upgrades that are available in that system. Mm-hmm. And I thought that would be really nice to have because there's a lot of stuff along the way. We were also cataloging all the glitches, the
stabilized
glitch
glitches
types that you can collect. Yep. Yeah. So I mean, there was a lot, right? So all the stuff was. The problem was because we were running so close to the bone and we came at this so fast. We didn't really have people scheduled into phase, like stage 1 was scheduled up like 72 hours before we went live. We were still scheduling people in. I don't think like Neurosi's
building the railway of the train while the train is already moving.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I was literally laying tracks.
Which one of you guys should I travel to just look to the spire before we wrap up?
I'm actually there if you want to just hop through the anomaly. And like I said, you can go in the first couple of floors.
Oh no, there is no way I'm gonna go in. I'm gonna die, Richie. I'm gonna die. I want to say is that looking to the people at the anomaly, seeing the normal No Man's Sky player, I feel I was in a completely different game. I was so happy to see the anomaly and see people, have no idea what happened to me, just randomly coming out with their spaceship, go speaking, taking Nexus mission. I was like, wow. Where the hell I was, correct? So you guys have taken me in a crazy amount of journey, correct? And I was so happy to see, the civilized space. You remember in Meet Dangerous we have the puppet and civilized space. How you feel when you run back to the civilized space after being in the
as long as you're not in PvP, yeah.
Yeah. I never had BVB on because after one killed me, I didn't turn it on ever. But what I was trying to say is that it was so good feeling to come back to Space Anomaly, you know. So I'm gonna let it aspire. I don't think I'll be able to go in. I'm getting extremely exhausted emotionally. Getting dark there is the end on this, you know. And this, you know, alien interruption thing was bad. Especially that I didn't expect this in No Man's Sky at all. None of the stuff that I've seen today I expected, and because I
Awesome, thank you.
really immerse myself in virtual reality, and I avoid any spoilers. I got my ass kicked hard. I don't think it's gonna be kicked hard again like this because now I can understand I can expect what I'm gonna see, but that was crazy stuff.
Well, I can tell you that
Lots more.
the next base that you encounter the aliens is Mr. Barnacle's space station, and that one is completely dark.
Yeah.
So you're gonna have fun. You're gonna have fun with that.
My sense control battery is dying. So I have one question I want to ask you guys, and probably I interrupted you, Liz, when you didn't finish your story. But how you mentioned that you're so happy with the outcome, you're satisfied with it. How did it feel, you know, before launch, the last phase, and looking back to it and realizing the moment when you guys have actually launched everything? How did you feel when you really see the fruit of your work being realized by everyone in the community and being also, you know, appreciated by them, visitors, people who spoke about the tour? How did it feel, guys? I want to hear the three of you.
I'm
But
just gonna
before
have
you say
to.
that, one thing. Sorry, Inara, at your stream, man, any questions from anyone there, or Kim? Anyone have any questions, comment that you want to ask the guys before we enter the last phase of the stream?
My stream has just been appreciating everything.
Yeah, same here.
You guys are so cool, man. And, they are so quiet, beautiful, cool group of people. And
We're an open book. Like honestly, if there's questions about the tours, if you'd like to set one up, if you have complicated,
yeah, if you guys have
into different
questions
systems,
about the tour, yes, just post it there in
reach
the
out
chat.
to us on our social media on the Distant Worlds Tour site or Discord, Twitter, Instagram, etc. We're, you know,
Oh, it's not rendering for INRA.
No,
Yeah,
it's not.
I want to say one last thing. I promise this is the last thing. I came here before in flat screen to see if this massive thing is gonna load. Why I thought this is a good idea to come here, but in reality there was a storm, or I don't know what is wrong here, but the wind is moving. It was moving the grass like really hard, and it
I
made
have
me
to go.
extremely
Oh,
dizzy.
Kim,
Okay.
yeah. Kim has to.
It's getting late and I have work tomorrow, so.
Leonaris, appreciate you stopping by, Leah.
Lena, sorry I didn't have you a chance to tell us about how did you feel, but I hopefully will allow you to, you know, to come more and speak more today. I'm so sorry about this.
That's all right.
Any last word from your side, Lena, before you drop? How did it feel joining us today?
It was very nice. It was nice to see a few bases that I haven't actually seen as well, because I hadn't seen the museums, so that was a nice thing to discover. It was.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I encourage everyone to go visit distantworldtours.com. Lovely website it is, and the builds are great too. So, yeah. I hope everyone's enjoyed everything.
What you got to do is go get her to tour you through her starship builds. Because
Yeah,
those,
Miha.
especially in VR, those would
Come
be
on
amazing.
YouTube.
Those would be great in
I'm
VR,
gonna put a
Miha.
dedicated session with you, Lena, later on. I really appreciate you staying late. I actually have work tomorrow myself, but I'm gonna stay as late as my pulse controller stay. Hopefully it will not shut down and I'm not able to close the stream. So thank you for joining us.
That's all right.
Do we still have Kim?
I'm still here.
Oh, perfect. Okay, go ahead.
And I just want to say again, because I know she's left, but I can't overstate the value that Leonaris brought to the project.
Oh, 100%.
Because I wanted to talk to her about her, like, what brought her to that point, because she just dropped in out of nowhere and provided us with the video. And the website is it is what it's supposed to be. It's pretty, right? It's professional. It did all the things that I knew it needed to do. But what happened was her video provided legitimacy. It tells the story in motion, and it became real. So you were asking Mia a minute ago, like, when did it become real for you? When Leonaris brought us that video. At that moment, I knew that we were never going to fail.
I mean,
This is,
the
you
quality
know,
of the
I'm not
production on
sure. Sorry, I'm trying to say that I'm not sure how in hell I can focus with what you guys saying. What you're saying is crazy deep story. It's like a movie what you guys have went through. But at the same time, what I'm seeing here is completely distracting me. I mean, I came here on flat screen, I have to say that, and it was wonderful. But seeing this in VR is something else.
And none of the
It's
power
something
is
else,
on
yeah.
the
And
light.
I put this in
panels.
thumbnail, so I really wanted to ensure I come here, but I really hope people don't expect me to go in because I think I maybe have only 15 minutes left on my Pulse controller.
No worries, Mia.
But you know, yeah, and even if it had a charge, I'm so blown away with everything I've seen. I mean, I need 3-4 days away from VR to absorb this. I mean, unfortunately for new players who just starting VR and love the show, my recommendation is you have to take it very easy going to this kind of builds, because No Man's Sky in general is not really optimized in VR. I mean, it's playable in VR, very good game in VR, but we are not yet ready for this amount of assets. I'm sure we have a lot of people who's playing No Man's Sky in VR. Most of them cannot take the game for more than 15 or 20 minutes because you see a full life roll. See the number of assets here. When you play any VR game, you will usually have 4, 5, 6 assets around you, and they are moving very slowly and they are blend very well to ensure motion sickness. When I play in VR, if you look to my settings here, and I'm not showing off, but I play with full immersion. I don't have any I don't have anything turn it off, or I don't have. There's a lot of other stuff that people can turn on to reduce motion sickness, like I don't have time to go through it for now, but in reality I play in full immersion. I don't have snap turning, I have smooth turning, so everything for me is massive, and what I have seen today have really even changed my idea on the amount of stuff that can even be done. This tower here is crazy huge, and the amount of details that I see, it's very beautiful, and at the same time it's a massive sheer of scale with the background and the planet and this stuff flying in there behind it, and it's on the side of a mountain. There is hundreds of assets here that's moving and interacting at the same time, and my brain is trying to absorb it, because if you are here in real life you will be blown away, and I cannot say that this is exactly what we can see in real life, but this is as close as we have anywhere else. Even game like Gran Turismo 7, that's miracle that's running, you'll have 8 cars and a 2D background. Everything here is 3D. Everything here, including this planet in the end here, including the rings, correct? Including this guy beard is in 3D, correct? So everything here is in 3D, and it's just too much to take in. So I'm not gonna jump inside here, guys, today, but I'm gonna have a dedicated session about this. Hopefully after I'm back from vacation. I really need my vacation now more than anything else. Okay, so back to you, Tez.
For you. I'll give you the 30-second spiel on this. This was my first full glitch build, and I had encountered Scottish Rod's video on doing a 96-sided circle. I was curious at how do people do these circles. I kept seeing them in photos. I'm like, how do you do that? And I tried out a few videos, and what you gotta do is there's a whole bunch of people doing videos on particular things, and this is before I found your videos, so I apologize. But,
No worries.
but I couldn't follow Chris because, oh my god, he goes so fast. And Beeble Bum is great, but he bounced all over the place, and I had a hard time following him, and they were using different terminology, and that was confusing. And I ended up with Scottish Rod because the dude's crazy, but for some reason I clicked with the way he was describing it, so I followed him. He laid out a 96-sided circle. Now I wanted to try it, and I ended up doing that ring. But then I decided, well, I want to do something with the ring, and I had this idea of using it as a blast radius, and the building came off of that is how do I make the scale of this ring useful? And it just kind of evolved from there. So it started from the ring at the center point, and I built the building out of it. Now the whole thing is a trap maze from top to bottom. I will warn you, before you go in.
Going this way.
This is if anybody else is going. If you go here, it can be fun. I've heard it's fun. There's a landing pad at the very top, and the entrance is on the actual top of the spire. So the reason I did that was because it forces you to do a ship save. This was designed before the new saving functions. So you had to do a ship save to get in, because there are several points in this tower where there are no exit traps. You get stuck in a room, you get thrown in the furnace, you get thrown into a glass box. I mean, it's on purpose, but you'll have to reload to get out. So
yeah, just imagine
and I'll give you the scale of the building is deliberate, by the way. The reason it is so big on the outside is because it's tiny on the inside. The whole thing is a 2x2 floor. It's 4 floor in a tower that's 70 stories tall. So as you progress through the tower, you start off with this on the outside. It's really big, and that sets a frame in your mind. And then as you go in, you're in the whole top floor is the lobby. It's 2 stories tall. It's the entire room, and there's a whole bunch of stuff in there. And then as you descend into the tower, it starts to press in on you, and things start to get more and more claustrophobic as you go. And I am doing everything in that tower deliberately to mess with your head. So
yeah, I
It's a
have
really
everything
good thing
left
me
on my
having
head
go
to
in
be
there.
messed
Yeah.
with. My head is gone, man.
I'd say the lobby of the building, just so you know, like you can go all the way down to the lab. The lab exploded, and that's what you're seeing. Is the way I describe this is you're seeing a moment in time frozen. The lab exploded, it blew apart the building, and I froze that moment in time. So that's the story I tell myself when I was working on this build. You can get all the way down to the lab before you hit a puzzle or a challenge, right? But the minute you go through the lab, you are in the labyrinth. So beware.
Let me try to go there. And I still want to go back to the moment when you guys finally found things started to click together. All of your hard work, correct? I mean, usually when people are so immersed in an idea and they really believe in this idea, I got kicked very far. I think maybe the fighter kicked me. They don't really, they don't really feel the pain, or they don't feel the actual impact on their body until it's late, until it's finished, correct? And if things doesn't work, they will feel the pain double or triple because they failed. But if things clicked, this pain got reduced a lot because things really clicked and worked. And in your case, guys, everyone acknowledged, it was a massive success. So how did it feel? I really want to know.
Can I jump in on that before we dive into that real quick? Is the premise that we value success versus failure, I find highly flawed. If you measure success versus failure, then success is the end of the spectrum in which you spend the entire time in the spectrum in failure, because you will never reach success. Success is a moving target. So you're setting yourself up for failure. So the way that the philosophy that I teach when I do teach, and the one that I adhere to myself, is failing is the lack of the attempt. And that moment passed when we decided to act, right? Back in December when we said, yeah, this sucks, and we're just complaining about it. But the moment of failure would have been to just keep complaining about it and do nothing. if we had not done anything, that would have been a failure. Doing anything is a success. Now it's just a measure of how successful were we, right?
I
So
like
that's-
this. I
yeah, so-
completely like this because the act by itself is success. You took an action.
Yeah,
someone
absolutely.
Took an action.
Is
your shepherd the one on the top?
I'm not. I don't know if Enra is. Oh, Enra's inside.
I was. I just
there's
got
only
thrown
one
out.
spot, correct? I wanted to try to bark, but maybe this is a good sign from God that I should not go inside.
Well, yeah, save it for later. It's an experience. I have a mixed relationship. Yeah, I have a mixed relationship with this because this is literally my first glitch build ever, and I'm simultaneously proud and I cringe every time I look at it.
So,
'Cause-
again, let me reiterate, this is what Tesseract
The idea
himself
of
as a
having
one-trick pony, and now he has escalated that to a three-trick pony. So anybody who's actually been on the
Yeah,
tour and is in
we're all-
stream,
we're-
comment
we're all
on
special
just how
princesses.
tricky that pony it really is.
Yeah.
We're all special princesses. I
the
see, I look
idea
at-
of having, a moment of time frozen. It's
Yeah,
genius.
it is,
To be
yeah.
honest, I mean,
I'm fixated on context, right? So framing contexts are time and meaningfulness and space, and I'm really fixated on the story that a space can tell people, because we're informed by our environment all the time in real life, and games design environments to inform us, and I work in that space. A little peek under the hood. I'm a PhD in cognitive psychology. I focus on human perception and the impact that has on the brain and how it develops. So that's my backstory from way back in the day. So I'm fascinated by environmental storytelling and the structures of architecture, and that's my perspective when I build these types of things. Is I grab a hold of your perceptions and I manipulate the hell out of them.
I love this because stories is actually what really bring people attention. I mean, in reality, you can say something like, okay, I dropped my keys, but when you say like, you know what, I was going here, this happened to me, I had my breakfast, and then I saw something interesting, and I avoided something on the way, the whole thing, people bring a lot of attention, all of their brain, all of their, every cell of their body. The more the story is interesting, they becoming way more attached to it, and they bring a lot of attention to it versus just, someone talking. And this is, understanding storytelling. It's one of the most powerful tools that, that people can use, especially, people who are trying to do influence or, influence other people or, lead other people. I think, storytelling is pretty much the most important thing in CIOs right now and stuff like this. So I'm glad, I'm happy that people are still understand how important this in life and everything else.
Story is everything for a human. I mean, what differentiates humanity from every other species on the planet is not our ability to use tools. If you want to see that in action, watch any video on YouTube about crows solving complex problems. It will humble you. Yeah, the crows and ravens they can solve intensely complicated multiple step problems faster than most humans.
Octopi.
So, yeah, exactly. An octopus can do a Rubik's Cube. Yeah, I mean, so the problem solving is not our differentiator. Opposable thumb, 427 species on the planet have opposable thumbs. That's not a differentiator. What we are is monkeys that tell stories. We propagate our society over time through storytelling. That is our key differentiation, is we tell ourselves the stories of who we are constantly and reify that forward. And that's powerful to humanity, right? Story is what we are. So just, there's my soapbox for the day. But you asked a question and we jumped around and didn't answer it at all. You asked the moment that you knew it was real. I have two, and then you guys can jump in. When Leonaris dropped the video on us, I knew that there was no chance that we wouldn't succeed, because she came to us organically, drawn to the idea. and that was all I needed to know. I was kind of really super isolated at that point, just heads down building stuff for the web and for everything. But when the community reached back and wanted to participate, that was a crucial indicator that we were onto something. And then the second point was Neurosi. Everybody was telling her, just, you know, don't get involved, focus on your thing, because you've got all these other builds you're doing, and that's just, ignore them and whatever. And she pushed through all that and volunteered to be in stage 1 with arguably the smallest build on the tour that became the poster child for the entire tour. Like her build just kind of encapsulated the tour's ethos entirely. And one of the funny things about it is, because it's so small and it can fit in a single picture, it literally became the poster child. But it was her build that, between Leonaris' video and Neurosi's tiny house build, it catalyzed into this thing that we wanted it to be. It suddenly became. So that was for me. I don't know what you guys.
For me, on the recruitment end, it was when people started actually reaching out that I wasn't aware of. There were so-and-so's, so-and-so's, so-and-so, and I'm like, oh, okay, yeah. What do you got? Can you do this? And I'd outline the parameters to them. The next one would have been like watching Enra's subs group grow, Delta's subs group grow, Neurosi's. I mean, seeing retention on the videos going up, where like an entire stream for 3 hours is being populated by people watching. I mean, one of the questions I was asked early on was, what do you get out of that? Like, what are you guys at Distant Worlds Tour getting out of it? I'm like,
do you remember my answer? Do you remember what my answer to that was? What else are you gonna do?
Yeah, like
it's just something to do.
After 200 hours in the game, you've already done all the lore, you've done the storyline, you've got your sentinel ship, you've got your multi-tools, blah 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 blah. Now what?
Wow.
Now what?
So something very strange happened here, and all this happened. Sorry, when Slack spoke. So when I tried to go up with my ship, it actually went in a very parallel way to the whole way until the middle of the circle. And then it just flied away, and this was just crazy to happen, because usually the headset vibrates very hard depending on how fast you're going, and it took like maybe 1 minute to go all the way from the ground.
Yeah, it's the electrical wires. It's a property of electrical wires and ships when they're taking off that I've run into a few times. If you take off and you go through the ring. Remember, okay, so that ring is the outer end of a 96-sided circle, but what you're seeing at every point along the ring are 4 light panels, and each one of them is wired. So it's basically a mesh. Oh my God, you want to talk about mind-numbing connection, just for like 4 hours just doing these connections. But if your ship takes off and goes through the ring, the animation interacts with the wires, and it kind of does a weird. You either get stuck or it like throws you across the bay. It's weird. Yeah, you gotta watch out.
Crazy cool. Okay, back to you again. Slack.
Yeah. So another one of these you've made it moments would be, like I said, people were like, well, what do you get out of it? No, we're providing content that was provided to us by builders. So I don't stream. Well, I used to, but like I don't stream Distant World Tour stuff. I very rarely actually Twitch stream. Tesseract doesn't as well. So on our end, there is no fiscal reason for us to do this other than for the joy of the game, or to give back to the community on which we enjoy. Now, when I see content creators like Leonaris, Enra, etc., down the list, using this content and growing their brand and their channel, that gives me joy also, because it's exposing them as content creators, bringing notoriety to them, plus it's bringing notoriety to the community itself and the builder. I mean, there's Captain Steve picking us up. There's a bunch of little things that are like the average Joe user wouldn't, or average Joe player wouldn't see as a success story, quote unquote, but they're like huge pats on the back to us. Like, Just knowing what the volume of people that have visited our website, like that's inside baseball stuff, but like that's
you
mind
want to
blowing
know,
to me.
like, I don't see. I've worked in technology, so I know how things go, and I know the scale of things. And I was partly expecting this because space games are super popular right now, and I engineered the website to draw in the bots that scan for the search engines, so it's optimized for SEO. Let's put it that way. We passed 60 million unique IPs last week. So what that
60
means
million?
is, yeah.
Wow.
So what that
Wow.
means, what that means to people that don't fully understand this is, if somebody says, "Oh, I had 1,000 hits," okay, yeah, but if your page has 100 objects,
That's 1,000.
you only got hit 100 times. Because every single object on the page, every image, every call, everything causes what's called a quote-unquote hit. It pulls objects. So when the browser goes to the website, it's pulling all the objects and then putting it back together. Well, there's like 60 pictures on a page, so that's 60 hits plus the page itself. That's 61. So hits is not the number you look for. What you look for is what's called a unique IP, and that means this person came here for the very first time. We passed 60 million last week. So let that
Man,
sink in.
congratulations, man.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
That's
we're not.
awesome.
It's not like we're not monetizing, so it's a thing. But I want you guys to know the reach that these bases are having, because people are searching space games, and No Man's Sky is a topic because of Starfield, and so this is coming up, and we're coming up in searches, and these images are getting out there. So I'm not able to draw a distinct line. I can. If any individual builder wants to know their specific hit metrics, I can tell you exactly how many times your page was pulled. But I'm not really.
asking for ego death there, though.
Yeah, I'm not really surfacing
honestly,
that because
like if it tailors off, you're gonna be like, what's wrong with it? Was it not rendering? You know, like honestly. But for me on the recruitment side, that metric's kind of important to me, because I want to know that all of the efforts put forth trying to expose all of these builders as great builders is fruitful. But not only for us as a brand, as Distant World Tours, but like you as a builder or content creator, right? Like, I know it sounds like when you look at the tour, for instance, the way stage 1 unfolded, where I ended up being stage 1 base 1, it looks very self-serving, and that was one of the biggest fears that I had about being in stage 1.
I did do that on purpose.
Well, it does, because like I'm out there recruiting, and they're like, "Oh yeah, Slacks, fucking guy, he's in stage 1 base 1. It's all about him." I'm like, "No, it's not about me at all. Like, I don't care if the world sees my builds. I still build the builds anyways. Without Distant World Tours, I'm still gonna have all the builds that I do. Still gonna own on multiple platforms. I'm still gonna keep glitch building. I'm still gonna run through expeditions multiple times, setting up bases for new players to help them out. It's just, that's me. I mean,
my recommendation to the community, if you're concerned about us being self-promoting, is, well, then volunteer for stage 1 next time. God damn it.
Yeah.
Right?
No,
You wanna
you
do
mean,
some
guys,
photography work?
promoting
Would you
what,
like to
guy?
do
You
some
know, we have
pathfinding?
10 people watching this stream, correct? So you're not gonna self-promote on my stream. But what the hell happened on this lab, correct? Why there is fire in here?
It blew up.
Something exploded.
It blew up.
Okay,
You're
I'll
nearly
give
at
you-
the point of no return.
yeah, if you go in that room, you can get back out of the room, right? So it's not a problem. But
I
if you
think I
take,
cannot enter.
you have to push a button.
Oh,
Top
I
to the
have
right.
It's right underneath the biohazard.
No, it's right next to the door. But I'll give you a pro tip: is if you can shoot buttons, you don't have to actually walk up and touch them.
No.
But the door is shut because there's a breach in the lab. But okay, so you're wandering around. Stop for a second and look at the floor. You'll see I did the same thing that I pulled this from Damovina. I put the what is that wiggly creature's name?
Jellyfish.
I used
Whatever.
I used the
Jellyfish.
jellyfish stickers all over the place to show where slime pools were. So yeah.
Nice
there you go.
touch,
Rapid,
yeah.
it only opens for- yeah, you got it. You know what it is? It's a skill check, man.
Yeah, I'm not going in here. I've seen a lot of accidents today, so I'm gonna go back up all the way up here. I'm feeling already trapped in here, and
I see him
I'm
just
done.
like peeking his head through the door frame.
Yeah. For
Yeah,
everybody,
I just peeked through. I put my head inside just to take a look, and that was enough for me to run out of here.
for people that are watching, this is the point of no return, because you can still back up through the teleporters, but once you go
Yeah.
through that room, there are the traps and the severity of them escalates geometrically at every corner. So the chance of surviving. Yeah. So the chance of surviving that room the first time through is less than 30%.
I'm just gonna take a look to this wonderful planet and ring here, and I wanted to ensure, I think we are close to wrap up. I believe that we need to have way more meetings with you guys. There is still a lot of questions I wanted to ask. Today I got my brain melted many times and I was not able to focus at all. But I really enjoyed having you guys, and I'm honored to allow you to join me here and talk, a little bit about your story and your journey from an idea to success. I don't think you guys were able to wrap it up, but did you had did you had a specific moment when you felt really satisfied with what you have done?
Yeah, as soon as I started taking pictures. Honestly.
Yeah.
I think when it got to the point when we had enough people populated into a stage, and I was actually looking at their finished product, because you got to remember, other than the builder themselves, I'm the first person, or one of the first persons, to see these builds. And for one build, you might see 5 or 6 different pictures on a website. I've taken anywhere from 15 to 40 to 80 pictures of the build, looking for different angles. So I look at each of one of the builds from a builder's perspective. Like, for instance, the comparison between Enra Silver and yourself, as far as you stream. As a VR streamer, you're looking at the big picture. As Enra, being a glitch builder, he looks at builds for each individual part and its sum. Right? We have a different perspective on things. Right? So this is how myself and Tesseract can have simple builds to complex ones, because we appreciate what the outcome is, not how it got there.
Yeah, and that was one of the concerns early on. I talked to Enra before we launched about, from a streamer's perspective, what is it that we can do to make this work for you guys? And one of the concerns I had was, it's the same number of bases in the same order. Is that going to be a problem? But then you look at, Katrina came in and did her videos right after Enra. Leonaris has come in and done a bunch. And the interesting thing is, Enra is really deconstructive, and Katrina is really emotional impact, right? So they can tour the same base and see completely different things, and so that's working out really, really well. And I want to make sure we put this out there. Anybody that the tour is a service for the community. It's not for us. We're just, like I said, we build lists. If you want to, Slacks touched on this earlier. One of our roadmap items is, and it's one of the things that we put on there as a performance indicator, is that when we have people coming to us to build tours for them, we'll know we'll have been successful. And that's already kind of happened with AGT, but that was Slack, so that doesn't really count. So
it's their 6th birthday. They got a sticker. You know what I'm saying?
So, but you see my point is, we're not. People keep asking what's in it for us. Is well, I love playing the game. I want the game to stay around. Building a community helps keep the game around. I'm learning from everybody. I mean, I have a lot of personal incentives, as does Slacks and anybody else that's involved. But ultimately, we're here for everybody else. And there's been some threads of controversy because we didn't reach out to everybody. Well, I don't know everybody. Like, I was fine. I'll have to put this out there. If you put your builds on Reddit, you are fair game. You don't get to say, I don't want that on the tour. But if you come to me and say, I don't want that on the tour, I will take it off the tour, because I'm not going to force anybody. But if it's out in the public, it's fair game. That's all I'm going to say about that, right? So, but what I try to do is I try to reach out to everybody and let them know. But I wasn't able to. Like, some people just have YouTube and no contact information. And I'm looking at you, ER Burrows, because I love your builds. Oh my God, I could fanboy over your builds for like hours, and I have.
Right,
but
so
I could not get a hold of you.
It's on Twitter.
When he was in there.
I got things to do.
What happened to Inara here? How did you froze him in time?
He's pointing. Oh, he's got his camera pointed. Oh, yeah. I wanted to tell you guys. In the middle, of the building, on the outside, there are chairs. So you can sit in a chair with that exploding ball in the background, and it's basically like a throne. There should be one on
nice.
all 4 sides. So just put that up. But yeah, so getting into it, like one of the things I want to make sure that we convey, because I want to make this perfectly clear, and I haven't really written up all of the outlines of the. This falls on me. I haven't really written up as much as I should about the project outward facing. But it comes down to this: nobody will be turned away. If you want to be on a tour, you will be on a tour. I guarantee that will happen.
Yeah, just
But
participate.
you
That's
have
all
to show up.
do.
You just
I
have
mean-
to show up. That's it.
I mean, okay, in my trade in real life, I'm a hard ass when it comes to like project deadlines. I build infrastructure, so like if an electric plant doesn't get built, a university doesn't get built, there's millions of dollars in fines. This is a video game put on by PlayStations and PCs. Like, this is meant to be fun. I mean, if your real life interferes with your time frame, all you have to do is let us know. Like,
Yeah.
it's, it's like, we're not hard asses about that. Like,
We were spending a lot of time, like we were building the tour. Like I'll give you the way this worked, right? Stage 1, 72 hours out. I basically pulled Zep and Slacks into panic mode because we didn't have anybody in stage 1. I had 3 people, and I had to push Slacks into stage 1 because we didn't have any people. But by the day before, we had it populated. So we can do this. We can. It's not. We just have to, light a fire. Stage 2, stage 1 launches, and now we have literally 6 days before stage 2 goes live. We had nobody in stage 2. Nobody in stage 3, nobody in stage 4. You see the problem here. So we were constantly having to recruit. It wasn't just recruitment; it was project management, getting people in on the line. There was a lot. Now, none of that fall. Like I said, I don't want to. I'm not pointing anything at the builders. We were asking a lot. We did. We asked a lot, and I have to put this out there. Everybody came with their A game. It was just
Yeah.
everybody.
All the builds.
it's just,
Something
we're giving
important.
you the inside baseball
Yeah.
on what it was like actually organizing.
It's the
putting
stress
this
that we
out.
don't want to surface,
Yeah.
right? Remember, one of our
Oh, no.
ethos is drama free. You guys shouldn't feel any of the friction, right? It should be
You guys made it
simple and
clear,
fun.
correct?
Yeah.
When I mentioned about the example, correct? You had the train that's going, and you're building the train rail in front of moving train, correct? This is the most stressful thing anyone ever want to, feel in his life. But at the same time, because we mentioned Neruzi, I want to have a moment here, to thank Neruzi, because when I started doing this show, I asked a couple of people, and I had Kim, Apella, Flyer, but Neruzi actually volunteered to join when I had like 6 subscribers to the channel. Imagine this. We had 1 person watching the stream. Correct? We are not very far. I think now everyone slept.
Was
But
it your
really,
mom?
Neruzi, one
Tell
of
me-
the most.
tell me it was your mom.
Yeah. Neruzi is one of the most good-hearted, people I have ever met, and there is no way she's gonna see this. I don't think she'll have, or hear this. But I really want to take an opportunity to really thank her, because you guys also mentioned her. So, and when I'm back from break, my first episode is gonna be with Neruzi. So I'm so looking forward to this. Okay, guys, we really need to wrap this up. I got a second warning. My controller is gonna die in any moment. You see here.
Okay.
So, any
Nobody
last
play, I'll say.
short
It's been a
moment
shameless
want
plug.
to share?
Questions,
Yeah,
comments, or concerns, direct
Well,
them to our Discord at
Yes.
distantworldtours.com.
Yep.
Join
You can
the
also
Yeah.
find us on other social medias.
Join the Distant Worlds tour. Go to the website. The link for the Discord is on the website at the top and the bottom of the page. On every page, it's right there. Join it. We're not trying to build a civ. We're not trying to build a community, but it is becoming a central point for all builders across all civs. So that's wonderful to see. If a couple of things, we've got a tour. Look at the distantworldtours.com page. All of the tours for the rest of the year are listed in that page. The next one that's coming up launches on the 1st of July. It's going to run for 5 weeks. It's basically an open build, so anybody can build anything as long as it's on a planet with fire or volcanoes. Basically, it's called bonfire builds, so flame biomes. And you can submit as many bases as you want. Just follow the instructions in the Discord. We've got a whole thing set up in there. And if you have any questions, just hit us up. There's more tours throughout the rest of the year. All the dates are on the homepage. If you're interested in any of those tours, you are more than welcome to join. Just find us in the Discord. Everything goes through Discord. If you're interested at all in running a tour of your own, we will provide the support for that and the infrastructure to get you up onto the website. All you need to do is approach us, again, Discord. Skill level is not an issue, ever. We had made a concerted effort on the tour to include people, and he called them vanilla. I think we probably should just call them standard.
Yeah, but like
standard builders, right? They don't use
full of
glitches.
Fantastic flavor.
Yeah.
I just, some people can rub people.
Yeah,
Language matter. Let's just put it this way.
I'll be clear.
Language
I'm not
matters.
being derogatory when I say that. I just mean non-glitched. I mean,
Yeah, it's not. Yeah.
Okay,
so the key there is with the Grand Tour there was curation, right? I talked about this with Zep and Slacks really early on. Is I have to curate a story that's really involved. That's complicated. That takes a certain amount of experience and perspective to pull that off. That is, unfortunately, it can kind of give the impression that I'm playing favorites or editorializing. No. I'm serving the story, and we have goals that the story has to achieve. In the Grand Tour, you'll see bases that don't have glitches at all, but they have a really interesting point of view, and that's what draws our attention. Is have an interesting point of view. I will draw the bar. Is I'm really not interested in prefab bases, not even a little, because that's just that's table stakes. Tell me who you are, and you will get my attention. That's all it takes. But beyond that, if you want to be on the bonfire builds and use prefabs, that's completely cool. The rest of the tours don't have the same entry requirements that like the Grand Tour does. The Grand Tour is like the Oscars kind of thing. It's meant to push the boundaries, but every other one of the tours is basically just meant to be a fun thing for people to do. So join in, don't travel, don't. It's just something to do. Last thing I want to push is we started out with a photographer and a social media person, and they kind of disappeared right before we launched, so that work kind of fell back in. I think we've completely broken Zeptasonic. She did so much round the clock work, and I think we just broke her. We're looking to expand the team. There's several things that we definitely need. Photographers, I need somebody to help with Discord because I design software for a living and I can't make sense out of Discord. Seriously.
and we literally ran into limitations of Discord, populating Discord.
So the takeaway from that is, if you want to join the team, like Leonaris came to us with this, hey, can I do videos? Oh yeah, you are the video production lead. You are that's you. I'm not putting requirements on her, but anything she gives us is fantastic. If you want to be involved at all, let us know. We will bring you in. We need the help, especially photography and pathfinding. But if you've got any suggestions on things we could do better, we're completely open to making changes. The thing is evolving as we go. So, tell us what you want, and we'll try to make it happen.
Yeah, you're literally the community that we're trying to get back to. So, I mean, feedback, please.
Absolutely.
Guys,
we're pretty one-sided when it comes to what our perspective is. We don't know. Without being informed by the general public, we don't know really, right? So, all of our estimations on what would be quote unquote successful or embraced so far has seemed to be successful and or embraced. But if there's a way to make it more inviting, more fruitful, more palatable to people, by all means, please let us know.
Yeah, and success, like I mentioned earlier, success changes over time, right? So success before the project was building the project, and then having somebody beyond the project, and then another thing was having somebody approach us to do one for them. Well, that's all changed because that's all happened. The next version, like what's success now, is do it again.
Sustainability and being iterated. Okay, guys, I think I lost my controller, so I'm not. I really would like to thank you guys for joining me today. I would like to thank anyone who watch us later on. this is, as I mentioned, I'm gonna be traveling next Wednesday, so it's gonna be the last live stream of the show for a while because I'm be gone for 3 weeks. I have recorded a couple of tours, and I'm gonna, release them. They're not gonna be live, but they're gonna be recorded. So hopefully it's gonna be, less boring stuff for me and more focus on the actual builds. I want to thank, this guy, really, really helped me a lot, Enra, sorry, was pretty much, everything and give me this cool ship. And man, dude, anything from your side, Enra?
No, we're doing good over here. Everybody's been enjoying themselves. I appreciate the chance to hang out with you guys today. It's been a lot of fun. Getting to go back through these builds and see them again has really been a lot of fun. So
Perfect.
I appreciate it.
Thank you, man. Thank you. And I cannot thank you guys enough, Tess and Slank and Lena before she leave. You guys opened your heart, correct? You really spoke, very, very. I felt a lot of truth. I felt a lot of passion. It's so touching. So really appreciate you taking time. Especially, I think all of us gonna work tomorrow, but you are in US. I'm in Europe. I'm in Middle East, even worse. But really appreciate. Yeah. Really appreciate
country.
here.
Look, that's like calling Kiwis Aussies and Aussies Kiwis.
Canada's not a country. You're just like.
Listen,
just like
we're 33% larger than you,
Yeah, whatever.
and have like bodily autonomy. So like,
All I'm hearing is overcompensation.
what's that charter? I'm sorry,
Yeah,
I couldn't hear
yeah.
you over all of my charter rights.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Universal health care. Who needs it?
Right.
So yeah, I want to
Alright.
thank Kim for staying so late. I think this
Appreciate it,
was
Kim.
extremely so exhausting for her.
Good.
So yeah, thank you for joining, Kim, and everyone who joined or watched this later. You guys, thank you. I really hope you loved this show. If you liked it, loved it, just leave a comment. So hopefully when I'm back, I will be able to keep going. I'm gonna take a long break. I really need a break now after today episode. So yeah, I think that's how we're gonna wrap it up. I'm gonna do the trick that Flair teaching me to do. I'm gonna open my photo mode and maybe you can wave with me, man. Let's say bye to everyone, guys. Have a nice night. Enjoy your working week. Slack, Lena and Tess. Thank you, guys. This was a hell of an episode. Thank you for everything you done, and thank you for joining me today. Really appreciate it. And guys, join these guys' tours. They are awesome. Subscribe to our stream. He done a massive amount of great things. If you didn't join his channel and streams, you're missing a lot. Thank you all. Thank you for have a nice day.
Take it easy, Miha. All right, I want to say goodbye to everybody on my side. ER Burrows just showed up. He heard you talking about him, Tiz.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully he.
Right.
Don't,
We are
just
always
don't let him
late,
know that
but
I'm a
better
full-on
late.
fanboy.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Just I'm
See you
full-on
guys.
fanboy. Just telling you.
Take it easy, Miha. All right,
Night.
Bye.
you guys take it easy, and I will talk to everybody later.
All right. Have a good night.
Later, Enra. Thanks.
Yep,
Happy Father's Day.
Yeah.
same to you, Slacks. All right, and that'll do it. Everybody, thanks for stopping by. Been a lot of fun. Great time seeing all these bases again. So, I will talk to everybody. Let's see, Wednesday morning. I'll be streaming again. So, we'll be live again Wednesday morning. Probably doing more work at the festival. So, all right, everybody, take it easy. Talk to you later.
There once was a ship that put to sea. The name of the ship was the Billy O.T. The winds blew hard, her bow dipped down. Below me, bully boys blow. Soon may the weathermen come to bring us sugar and tea and rum. One day when the tonguing is done, we'll take our leave and go. She'd not been 2 weeks from shore when down on her